I didn't put all this information in my original video because I wanted to, I didn't want to share my story. I still don't really want to share my story.
That's what he is counting on, that because he knows you don't want to share it.
And we got it on. She sat in the same little position on the sofa, and we're making out on the sofa, and then HC says, maybe we should go to the bed. And I said, only if you're comfortable with that. He
wasn't like listening to what I was saying basically, and he was just touching me and trying to kiss me and asking me for sex, and so I started saying all these excuses like, you've just broken up with Freely and I'm on my period, and yeah, and so he kissed me anyway and wasn't really listening and was touching me, and so I got up and said like, I have to leave now, and
then he grabbed her and choked her and forced himself on her. And if he didn't, he can bring us to court.
So some of you may remember this incident from a couple years ago. A vegan YouTuber named Hannah Chloe uploaded a video to her now deleted channel where she spoke out about Durianrider's inappropriate, predatory sort of behavior towards young women. And it turns out Durianrider is an even bigger piece of shit than I realized. He raped Hannah Chloe, and there may be more victims. As you go through this video and watch, there may be quite a few victims, in fact. And Norvegan, her boyfriend, has done a great series of videos exposing all of Durianrider's lies and bullshit, exposing how he is actually a rapist. And I thought I'd share his latest video on my channel so that this information gets the most amount of exposure possible. It's time someone spoke out against Durianrider and just completely outed him in the vegan community. We don't need pieces of shit like him in the vegan movement. Like, someone like him shouldn't even be on YouTube. And hopefully this will help other victims come forward and speak out against this sort of abuse. Durianrider isn't a real vegan. He's just using it as a facade to lure young women. Vegans are supposed to be against exploitation and abuse, and Durianrider is exploiting and abusing young women. So please give this video a watch, share it, and make sure that you download it and upload it to other YouTube channels, because there's a very good chance that Durianrider will try to get this video taken down with a false copyright claim. So with that said, just watch the video, and again, give it a like, give it a share, re-upload it to other channels, and subscribe to Norvegan for more videos in the series, and I'll also give links in the description down below to Norvegan's other videos and more information.
If you simply oppose a person's hyper-idealized, overly pompous, grandiose view of themselves, and they go into an extreme emotional meltdown, a childlike, toddler level of tantrum and rage, how dare you oppose me? And they want to take, counter-revenge, vengeance on you times 10 to a disproportionate degree, that's a person who is hypersensitive. That's a person who has a shame-based personality. That's a person who's lived a lifetime of denial. I'm perfect, I'm perfect, I'm perfect. There's no filth and corruption in me, and projection. It's all you, it's all you, it's all you. It's them, it's them, it's them, it's them, it's them. It's never me. I'm never wrong. That person is genuinely sick.
Social media is changing shit up in the world. If you have bad behaviour, people are going to find out about it eventually. And that's why I fucking encourage people to stand up and speak up, say, hey, speak up, man. Don't fucking be abused by someone and stay fucking silent. Especially when it's like a public figure.
Narcissistic Abuse Awareness Day. There's a lot of awareness that really does need to be done as far as abuse and what abuse is, and kind of who can, who is abusive and who can be a target of abuse. A lot of this confusion where people don't understand kind of what narcissistic abuse is. They don't understand how damaging different forms of abuse can be, see the behavior for what it is, and try to not get locked into, oh, it doesn't fit the mold of who I think can be abusive and who I think can be a target of abuse.
So today it's Narcissistic Abuse Awareness Day, and that marks 1 year since I started the Unmasking series. And in this part I'm finally gonna get into what this whole series is about, and that is exposing Harley Johnston as a rapist. I created the Unmasking series because Harley had created this false public image of himself that people bought into. He painted himself as this protector of girls in the community, while at the same time forcing himself on the girls he claimed to protect. A year ago I think people would find this reality hard to believe, and that's why I created the Unmasking series, so people could see the behavior for it is, like Dana said. Because of this illusion that Harley had created for himself, people have tried to discredit me and claim that I've made up these rape allegations during the Unmasking series, and that's simply not true. And I can prove it because before part 1 of the Unmasking I uploaded this video. Hey everyone, I just want to make a quick video to update you guys on what's going to happen. Because Hannah's lawyer advised us to not speak about it, and also advised us to take down the video I made about taking Harley to court. We haven't really spoken about it until now. So we're gonna go through, or I rather, gonna go through Hannah's story, but I'm also gonna go through the story of other victims of Harley's abuse. So we're gonna be fully transparent as Harley wanted, and we're gonna let you be the judge as Harley wanted, and we're gonna make it about rape, just as Harley wanted. So as you can see, this has been the plan all along, sharing Hannah's story and clearing her name. I also made another prediction last year. I know Harley don't want this stuff to come out, so he will do everything in his power to get my videos removed. And that's exactly what he did. He got my videos taken down one by one by filing false copyright claims, privacy complaints, reported them for harassment and bullying. He attacked my channel with dislike bots, which ultimately got my whole channel suspended. And the reason I knew that he would do everything to get my videos down is because narcissists are very concerned with their public image. Because their public image is what allows them to manipulate and abuse people. As you probably know by now, my girlfriend Hannah made a video 2 years ago called Durianrider's Hypocrisy, where she called Harley out for being a hypocrite. Because Harley accused another man in the community of having sexually predatory behavior, but the behavior he described was the exact behavior Hannah had experienced from Harley. After Hannah made her video, Harley literally tried to destroy her with a slanderous story, and that's what I'm gonna expose in the first section of this video.
There's 3 main ways that they go about manipulating with their words that I wanted to cover in this video. So the first way is stretching the truth. Stretching the truth, it's when very general facts are construed in a way that is designed to paint an inaccurate picture. Oftentimes, abusive people will blame their victim or blame their target for being the one with abusive, manipulative.
And she's manipulated them.
We're the ones with the problem, right? Like, we're the ones that are crazy, delusional, difficult, paranoid, whatever. After you confront them about something, that the conversation gets way off track, and next thing you know, you are having to either defend yourself or some behavior of yours in the past. Manipulative, abusive people are the kind of people that if you bring up something, they are not okay with that. In their mind, they're entitled to have issues with you or with us all day long, but we're not entitled to have even any type of issue with them. What they're doing is what's called a smear campaign. And it's where they basically have now spun the situation around to make them the victim of you. Trying to actually fight a smear campaign can be incredibly difficult.
Like anything else with the narcissist, there's like a kernel of truth, and then there's a big ball of a lie wrapped around it. So it's hard to, you can't ever separate the two. They're so enmeshed, and it's just so confusing.
Well, today we're gonna separate the two. So let's systematically go through his slanderous story and debunk his lies.
Another day, another drama. I'm a rapist, apparently. Allegedly.
Targets are not highlighting their abuse. Targets are usually hiding it. By overreacting when they hear this topic in conversation, they're outing themselves again, they're not grounded in reality. They're delusional. So they are completely unaware that their overreaction to you or friends talking about this certain subject is outing them.
So in the first few seconds of his first response video to Hannah, he already exposed himself. And some people that knew nothing about the situation could actually see through this, like this commenter, saying, "I have a feeling that he gave himself away with his response over Hannah's original video. Instead of answering and trying to defend against what she said, he actually tried to defend himself against what actually happened. His reaction betrayed him." And tons of people pointed out to him that Hannah didn't accuse him of rape in her video. It's almost like he didn't actually watch Hannah's video, and instead just assumed that he was being called out for raping her.
This morning I'm a rapist on YouTube. That's the new video today. Stay tuned on that one. That's what she's insinuating. What's that?
Are you doing a response?
Yeah, I'll have to now. I've got emails saying, "Did you
what
rape
are your
this girl?"
feelings to Hannah Chloe because you supported her so much and now she's coming out with this?
I kept all the emails, all the screenshots. This is gonna be good.
So making it a point to just have their victim twist in the wind. Like, I'm going to teach you a lesson. And that's really the feeling when you're going through something like this. That's exactly how you feel.
You know, I had been at the Q&A the following morning after watching Hannah's video, and Harley had said, plain as day, Hannah put out a video saying that I raped her. And I'm like, well, that's simply not the truth. A lot of people started to take that as the truth and talk about it as if it were the truth, and that's not what Hannah did. And I found a lot of other things about the public reaction to that whole video and that whole hoopla disturbing.
You have to remember that rape is all about power and control, and Hannah making this video standing up against him showed him that she was taking back this power and control that he had taken away from her. So this was a way for him to punish her, and also a way to show the other girls that this is what I'm gonna do to you if you dare to speak up against me.
I won't mention her name, and I'll disable comments on this video, just so people can actually listen to me.
That seems a bit weird in itself, that he would not want to mention this person's name, as if he doesn't want people to find that video and have their own opinion on things. He just wants to state his.
We have a person, a female individual, currently in Chiang Mai. I won't mention her name, because I don't hate the girl. I don't want her to get hate.
I hold no grudges at all. It can be seen, for example, in Lance Armstrong videos, and I assume you know who he is. When he was interviewed, are you on steroids, are you doping, are you taking any drugs? No. Like, your body gives off signals when you're lying, and I think he's being disingenuous to say that he doesn't hate this girl. I think he's fucking pissed.
Let's just call her HC. People who, in the community, will know who I'm talking about. And again, what this girl is doing is pretty shit, but I don't personally hold any grudges towards her at all.
So let's summarize what he said here. He's saying, I don't hate this girl, but she's currently in Chiang Mai and everyone knows who I'm talking about. And while he's saying publicly that he doesn't hate her, he's sending the most vile, sickening, hate-ridden messages privately that I will go through later on.
I went to a little potluck in Chiang Mai at this apartment block where everyone was staying. And there was a lot of us there. And HC was there as well. And we were talking a bit. She says, I had a problem with my MacBook. Have you got any tips? And I said, where's your computer? She goes, upstairs. She said, you can come up and have a look. So it's okay. So we went up to her room. Just me and her, no one else. She closed the door. We went in. She sat on her bed. And she had her computer out.
Okay, so let's separate the truth from the lies. Who better to separate the truth from the lies than Hannah herself?
So the kernel of truth in this part of his story is the potluck. There was a potluck in my apartment building that I was at with my friends, and for those of you who have been in social gatherings around him, you'll know what I mean when I say that. He was like really a loner. Like, we were eating and enjoying ourselves and talking and playing a game, and he was sitting by himself in the corner eating, I think it was oranges or mandarins, and honestly, like, we just felt sorry for him and we felt quite awkward around him. So we made a point of trying to include him in our conversation, and I was talking about the fact that I just about finished my ebook, and so I offered to show it to him, and I said that I'd just go up and grab my computer, and he said that he'd come up as well because he wanted to use my bathroom. And the apartment that we were in, the bathroom was right beside the room that everyone was in, so I could understand that he didn't want to go to the bathroom with all these people in the next room. So I said, sure, you can use my bathroom, and we went upstairs. And
so it was not about like computer problem that he claims, that was just like some...
I've not had a computer problem.
Because these people, they lie so much all the time, even about stuff that a normal person, it wouldn't even make sense to lie about.
Like it wouldn't make a difference if it was like computer problems.
It's irrelevant.
Yeah.
As we were going up the staircase, he was like saying something about how I had nice perfume, and I was just like, I'm not wearing perfume, basically. And so he went to the bathroom, and he makes a big point about the fact that I sat on my bed, but as you can see in this clip, there was literally nowhere else to sit in my room. For those of you who have lived in Chiang Mai, you know apartments are usually, you know, furnished very minimally. So I was sitting on my bed, and he went to the toilet, and it was honestly quite uncomfortable and disgusting listening to him go to the toilet. I like barely knew this guy, and yeah, he came out and was still talking about my perfume and how he'd used it as an air freshener. So clearly he'd like been going through my things while he was in the bathroom, which was just again weird.
He also makes a big point of how Hannah closed the door, like that's a big thing.
I don't actually remember whether I closed my door or not.
It's completely normal to close the door after you when you go into your apartment, right?
I mean, I might not have even closed my door. I literally, it wasn't something that I thought about.
He's painting this picture to make it seem like you were interested when...
Yeah.
And this is how he's like taking the truth and like twisting it for his own agenda to make people believe his lies.
There's always some sort of kernel of truth to whatever they're saying, but it's surrounded in a big ball of a lie. It's very interwoven, and that's a whole exercise in crazy making. Don't even try to go down that bunny hole.
And I could tell there was a bit of attraction going on there. Mutual attraction, adult mutual attraction.
I think we have to take sexual attraction away from rape. The key driver of rape is its power, its humiliation, its degradation.
And I found she was a nice girl, well, she was, and she obviously liked me.
Now you can start to understand why I've made the Unmasking series, because in part 1 of the Unmasking I went through the traits of a narcissist, and one of the traits is preoccupied with fantasy. And here you can clearly see that he's preoccupied with fantasy, claiming that, oh, she obviously liked me, when she didn't.
I just felt sorry for him.
Number 2, they're preoccupied with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love. This one would be kind of hard to prove because most narcissists don't think that they're fantasies. Like they think that they're realities, right? So I don't know how you would really even kind of prove that. I guess you'd have to listen to them talk, and then you'd have to kind of make that judgment.
When you're dealing with an abuser, they rationalize, they justify, they excuse, and they make, stories up that make it okay for them to do what they are doing.
And I said, well, I'm going to go back downstairs, finish my meal, we'll talk more, blah, blah, blah.
So this is a pretty insignificant lie by itself, that he kind of initiated going downstairs again, but when you add up all these lies, he's constantly portraying the idea that Hannah wanted him alone in her apartment, and she closed the door and she sat down on her bed, and he's constantly like painting this picture. It's pure manipulation.
He also says that he has to go back downstairs to finish his meal. Like, he wasn't eating with us. Like I said before, he was eating like oranges or some kind of thing, and he had eaten the oranges, so it's insignificant like Michael said, but it's just frustrating when you have, what happened, and he's clearly just talking shit.
Yeah, to manipulate.
And so we talked a bit more, we had email conversation or Instagram conversation. I've got it all saved somewhere after, because I sort of had a hunch something might turn out.
So here he's contradicting himself. He just said that Hannah was a nice girl, but now he's suddenly saying that, oh, he had a hunch that something might turn up. Also take note of how he is claiming that he has email and Instagram conversations saved, because he's gonna be called out on that.
So we go back downstairs, we talk more, and I think later on it was HC did really cool banners and graphics. She does really good stuff. She's got good talent there. And I said, how about you, if you want, design me a book cover for my Durianrider's Lean Body Bible, the cycling ebook, and do me a little channel banner. And if you do that, if you're happy with doing that, I'll give your ebook a shout out, a video just for the thing, giving it a plug. Because I think the information's good and you're a nice girl. And she's like, win-win situation. I win, I get my banner, I get my graphics, HC wins, she gets a big plug.
So here you can see for yourself that Harley says that they had already agreed on a shout-out for Hannah helping him with the cover art and the ebook cover. Later he changed the story to Hannah sleeping with him for a shout-out. So the truth sure changed a lot here.
That's how you know that he's lying, because his story is so inconsistent and he can never stick to one version of the story because it's a lie.
And then so I said, well, maybe come over to my hotel and one night and we can sit down and work it out. She said, no worries.
So what actually happened was I was working full time at that point, and so I finished work and I went home and changed, not into something nice, just into something other than my uniform, because I thought we were going to go to a vegan cafe. He asked me to meet him at Taipei Gate, and a lot of vegan restaurants are around that area, like and Taste from Heaven. And so I went to Taipei Gate in the early evening and he was late, so I just talked to this. Any of you who were in Chiang Mai might have known about the free hugs guy that would stay around Taipei Gate area, and so I was talking to him while I waited for the narc to arrive, and like I said, he was late, so I was like kind of annoyed that I'd been waiting there. And when he arrived, he really didn't say very much to me. He just was like, let's go, and rode off. And I assumed we were going to go to one of the nearby vegan cafes, like I said, but he just rode off to what would turn out to be his hotel. I didn't actually know that we were going to go there, and I wouldn't have been okay with that had he told me, which is probably why he didn't.
So it's like, okay, so she turns up one night to my hotel and she's dressed nicely, you know, attractively. And I was like, okay, here we go.
So again, he claims that Hannah just turned up to his hotel room, that we know is a lie.
And he also said that I was dressed nicely, and the truth is, I had changed out of my school uniform into my cycling leggings and a t-shirt. It wasn't particularly nice.
Even if it was, you had dressed up super nicely, we have to remember that this is a girl in her early 20s in Thailand where it's like 30 degrees, and she was thinking that she was going to a cafe, so that would be, like, that's not a point.
Yeah.
And like, clothes, what someone is wearing is no excuse. That's victim blaming.
They'll say it's because you came on to me. You were too sexual. You were wearing a tank top. You were, you know, whatever. The wind was blowing in the right direction. They will always blame the targets of abuse.
90% of people who are victims of rape or sexual assault in this country are raped by people who know them. It is entirely irrelevant what they're wearing.
Rape has nothing to do with what you're wearing. Rapists are opportunists. And much like a narcissist, they are looking for vulnerabilities.
They will always blame whoever they were abusing, always.
So it really has nothing to do with the victim. It's not that, you know, she was wearing a short skirt, or she talked to him at the bar, or she invited him into her apartment. It has everything to do with power and control. And that's really narcissism in pretty much a nutshell. That's what they're really all about.
What they're doing is they're blaming, shaming, and guilt tripping. That's what they do.
And we had plenty of places in the place to work. She's like, where should we sit? And I said, sit anywhere. She goes, that looks all right. So she plonks her computer on the coffee table, a little small couch. I said, okay. So I sat next to her. This is a big hotel room. We had like chairs and tables and stuff like that. But HC chose to sit on the couch. So I sat next to her. So this is going to be good.
Actually, there were only 2 places to sit in his hotel room. As you can see, he uploaded this video that actually shows you what it looked like. So there were the 2 bar stools, and that's actually where I first sat. And I was sitting there on my laptop, and then he said that he was going to take a shower. And while he was in the shower, that's when I went to the couch, because I'm quite short and my feet couldn't reach the bottom of the bar stool, so it was kind of uncomfortable. And that's why I chose the couch after the bar stool.
Also notice where the couch is placed, at the end of the bed. That reminds me of something.
He's got a fucking sofa next to his fucking bed. It's a 1-bedroom place. Now, I've dealt with enough sexual predators in my life, and that rings my fucking radar hardcore. If it doesn't ring your radar hardcore, some fucking weirdo in fucking Southeast Asia talking to teenage girls on the internet.
When a narcissist judges someone, what they're really doing is they're projecting. In other words, they are seeing themselves in other people.
You can sleep on that couch over there. It's only 2 meters from the foot of my bed.
And if you ever notice when a narcissist judges someone, and you know that narcissist well, they're actually talking about themselves.
And so we talked for a bit, we did the work, maybe we talked for an hour or 3 hours. It was pretty late at night, maybe past midnight. She turned up maybe 8 o'clock, so we were hanging out for a long time. And the vibes were good, the vibes were mutual.
As we already know, Hannah didn't just turn up, and it was not late at night, and he's actually contradicting himself once again. He's saying that the vibes were mutual, but later in this same video, he's confirming that they weren't.
And I thought, well, I'm gonna see where I stand here. So I wrote on the app or something like that, I said, would you like to kiss me? And I showed her that. She started laughing and giggling. She's like, what do you mean? And we had a bit more of a chat. And she's like, oh, well, I don't know. And she didn't really want to do it, so I said, no worries.
So as I just said here, he actually admits that the vibes weren't mutual. And you have to remember, Hannah was there just to help him with the ebook cover and the cover art. And then, like, there weren't any vibes, or Hannah didn't find him attractive, and then suddenly he asks about this. Like, it's a completely normal reaction to be like, what do you mean? Because there was nothing there.
Yeah, it was very uncomfortable.
What they do too is they will admit to like the bare minimum. The reality is you will never know the full truth. They're gonna deny and they're gonna lie about everything.
And I didn't want her to feel creeped out, so I asked more questions. I said, what's wrong here? She says, you know, you've just broken up. And I said, look, I'm not looking for a girlfriend. I find you attractive. You obviously find me attractive. This is nothing serious. You know, it's just a Chiang Mai sort of thing. She's like, okay, but nothing happened, and she went home.
Nothing happened, and she went home. He actually admits to this. Hannah actually went home before she had finished the work that she had gone there to do. At this point, she had only finished the channel art.
And then we talked more, and then she said the next day, she sent me an email saying, do you want me to come over tonight and we can do some more work? And I said, okay, no pressure. So she came over again.
So here he claimed that Hannah had sent an email asking to come back. And as you have seen earlier in this video, he has said that he has stored all the emails, all the Instagram messages. So for those of you who doubt what we're saying, ask him to provide this email. It won't happen. We got emails though, and because he has lied about the dates, we have to prove what the actual dates were. Here you can see an email Hannah's friend sent to her dad. This is the friend who stayed at Hannah's at the time. And as you can see by the date, it was sent 26th of October 2015. And in the email it says, we're going to a potluck dinner at one of her friend's rooms tonight. Which means the potluck was on the 26th and they met at Tappe Gate on the 27th. Now let's talk about the 28th. Here you can see the file for the ebook cover was created Wednesday 28th of October at 3:53 p.m.
Yeah, so I did the ebook cover as soon as I had time at work. I had my last class and it was actually my last day of work, so I had plans that evening to go to Taste from Heaven with my friends and celebrate. So I did the ebook cover when I could that afternoon, as we've showed you in the screenshot. And
like, this is why it doesn't make sense that you supposedly sent an email asking to come over, because you had already plans with friends. So
yeah,
like the story doesn't add up.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I sent the email and like giving him the ebook cover, basically. Like, from my perspective, that was the end. Like, I'd done what he'd asked me to do and that was it. But he turned up at Taste from Heaven where he knew I would be and kind of just invited himself to our table and gate crashed. And then Emmy and Tanner made a video about this situation that he pretended to know anything about.
You're gonna go through that later.
Yeah, so Emmy arrived with Tanner and they were gonna film a video with the narc like at this place that was on the way back to our apartment building, and the friends that I were with were going to Maya Mall. And because I had a friend staying with me, I didn't want to just leave her at my apartment all night. She was doing, as you could see in her email to her father, assignments. So I intended to go back from the dinner to my apartment to be with my friend. And what happened was we were on the way back to the apartment building and Emmy and Tanner and the narc were filming some video. Like, I don't really remember what the video was for. It was some stupid video like they usually do. And he said to me in front of Emmy and Tanner that I hadn't finished the ebook that I had promised to do for him, and I was like, well, I've emailed it to you. And he said that he had some amendments that he wanted to make to it, and it wasn't going to be very long and it was just a couple of things. And I was quite hesitant. I think he could tell that like, and my friends Emmy and Tana could tell as well that I was like, so he said that he had this bike pump and he also mentions this in his video, that he had this bike lock and bike pump that he wanted to give me. And the reason he did that is because I was using Tana's bike pump at the time. So to ask me to offer this bike pump to me and for me to not take it when I was using Tana's, like, it was very difficult for me to say no, because Tana would be like, why don't you take this bike pump? You're using mine and you have a free one offered to you. So it was just, yeah, I didn't put all this information in my original video because I wanted to, I didn't want to share my story. I still don't really want to share my story.
That's what he is counting on, that because he knows you don't want to share it. Basically, he used social pressure to, like, pressure her to come back with him to his hotel room to supposedly work on or finish the ebook.
And get this free bike pump. And yeah, that was like, all these details I didn't feel was really necessary to put into my original video, because it just seemed like I was bringing in Emmy and Tana into this situation that it wasn't about. I didn't want to make it about this. And
we got it on. She sat in the same little position on the sofa, and we're making out on the sofa, and then HC says, maybe we should go to the bed. And I said, only if you're comfortable with that.
Only if you're comfortable with that. Now, does that sound like something Harley would say in that situation? Or any guy in that situation, for that matter?
And we went to the bed and progressed. We had sex. We had sex. And it was adult, consensual sex. She didn't say that in her video, though.
Now, if this was true, then Hannah's video would make absolutely no sense. So clearly there's something that doesn't add up here. And let me ask you this. What's the worst thing a rapist can do to their victim? It's to publicly shame and humiliate them, like Harley's doing to Hannah here, right?
So what actually happened is a really unpleasant, horrible story, and I think once you hear it, you will understand why I didn't want to put it in my original video, and why I certainly haven't wanted to make this public. The amendments that he wanted me to make to his ebook cover were that he wanted photos of him and Freely on it. And so when he said that, I thought that was strange, because he'd just told me the day before that he'd broken up with her. So I said to him, like, are you sure she would be okay with that? And maybe it's a bit weird to put your ex on your ebook cover. And he said that he'd already asked her and she was fine with it. And so I did that. I put the photos of them under the art that I had created that day. And he wasn't sitting beside me. He was like, I wasn't really paying attention to what he was doing. He was just somewhere in his room behind me. And when I finished putting the ebook cover together, I turned around to tell him that I'd finished it, and he had obviously been arousing himself behind me, because when I turned around, he stood right behind me with an erection, and I just froze and turned around, and he walked around and sat beside me on the couch, and there was a cushion beside me, and he picked it up and put it over his crotch. And that's when he said, like, have you thought more about what we talked about last night? And I said, yes, I had thought about it, and the answer was still no. And when he said that, that's when I noticed that his voice had changed. It was like a little boy, and I just remember thinking, like, how strange and scary that was, that he'd like become this different person. And so I said no, and he was trying to kiss me and, like, asking if he could kiss me, and then, like, leaning in, and I had to, like, lean out of the way. And I said no, and he would ask for more. He asked to have sex, and I said no. And he wasn't taking my answer. He wasn't, like, listening to what I was saying, basically, and he was just touching me and trying to kiss me and asking me for sex. And so I started saying all these excuses, like, you've just broken up with Freely and I'm on my period, and yeah, and so he kissed me anyway and wasn't really listening and was touching me, and so I got up and said, like, I have to leave now, and
then he grabbed her and choked her and forced himself on her. And if he didn't, he can bring us to court.
If you've done some reading about narcissism, you've probably come across the term narcissistic rage. And this is a term, you know, narcissists, some of them, I guess, according to the research, they're all like very angry people.
And so in their mind, this is exactly how it needs to be. And when it does not get met, when somebody resists, when somebody says no,
like they rage. These rages can also lead to, you know, physical violence. It can lead to rape.
When they don't get their way, they get angry, they get violent.
Michael, yo, bro, what's up?
They'll graduate from raping to choking. They'll graduate from that to something else that is life-threatening.
And a little bit of choking, she likes that. All right, man, I'm doing it for you. How's Norway?
They are sadists. They enjoy the fear, they enjoy the pain, they enjoy the look of terror on the target's face. That's part of what they get off on, okay? Because remember, we're dealing with dark triads. We're dealing with psychopath, narcopath, Machiavellian, and they get off on the look of fear in the target's face.
You talk to an abuser, they abso-fucking-lutely know what they are doing, and they tell you they know what they are doing. They admit to it. They're stupid. They tell you,
And a little bit of choking, she likes that.
They tell you exactly what they have done, and they're somewhat proud of it, because manipulating to them is everything. So don't you kid yourself for one fucking second that this person doesn't know what they're doing. They know what they're doing.
Again, this is why I put together the whole Unmasking series, so people could learn more about how narcissists operate, because a lot of people don't really know about this. Part 4 was about narcissistic injury and narcissistic rage, and that's what happened in the hotel room. Hannah rejected him, which caused narcissistic injury, and that made him rage and choke her. He's a rapist, and he admits to it. He claims that Hannah liked being choked. And the only reason he admitted to that is, like, if you follow the whole Unmasking series, you know that his channel was suspended because once my videos came out, people turned against him and started to dislike his videos. So he started to buy fake likes, which ended up getting his channel suspended by YouTube. And when that happened, by pure coincidence, me and Hannah happened to be in San Francisco, so I decided to troll him, make a video and make it out that we were the ones that got him shut down. And that caused so much narcissistic injury. You have to remember that this is all a game for him, and he plays to win. And when I started to just play along with his game and I started to get the upper hand, this made him so angry. So when we made out that we were the one that got him taken down, in his efforts to get back at me especially, he just couldn't keep it together. So he revealed this thing that he knew that I knew. So we made this video saying that Hannah liked being choked. And that's how I know that Hannah is speaking the truth. Because Hannah hadn't told this to anyone but me. And then he makes a joke out of it.
When you are with them, you must, to use the vernacular, to coin the phrase, toe the party line. You must do as you are told. You must do even that which you are not told.
So there's kind of like this other dark side to that hypersexuality where, you know, it's not uncommon for victims to be raped.
All of this becomes a very cunning, overt, covert, somatic, and cerebral, you know, multiple layers of abuse and control and exploitation and manipulation to get what they want from you.
And these kinds of forcible sex acts, that has nothing to do with sexuality or sex or lust or any of that. That in itself is complete power and control. People don't get raped or molested because they're asking for it, or they don't get, these things don't happen to them because they're, you know, there's nothing that they're doing to cause this.
This is how they behave. This is who they are. They're con artists. They're extorters. They don't know how to get what they want via legitimate means, but they know they deserve it and they want it really badly, so they're going to do it via the non-legitimate means.
And she's looking up here, she's looking up there, and she's probably reading some script.
So he's trying to make the point that Hannah is lying because she's not looking directly in the camera all the time, but that's just normal. In fact, the research demonstrates that liars maintain more deliberate eye contact than truthful people. Consequently, liars tend to overcompensate by maintaining longer eye contact. Now, who is it that is looking straight in the camera during his video?
If you had to do jump cuts about something serious, in my opinion, something's suspect. That's just my opinion.
Who gives a shit? That doesn't matter. You don't need people's opinions on a fact.
And the fact is that Harley Johnston is a liar and a rapist, and the reality of a situation doesn't change based on whether you present it in one take or with jump cuts.
Now again, I don't hate this girl. I understand why she's doing it.
If Harley's story was true, how can he possibly understand why she's doing it? It just makes no sense.
And so we had sex. It was all fun. It was all good. There was no pressure. You know, the next day, I had sore pelvis from her being on top of me, having a good time. Is that too much information? I don't know. But I just wanted to be 100% transparent and honest.
They like to degrade or humiliate you. So the first of the 7 ways that they like to degrade and humiliate people, the first one is sexually. A narcissist will insist that their victim perform some sort of sexual act that the victim is not okay with doing. It's any type of sexual behavior that the victim is uncomfortable with, that the victim finds degrading and humiliating.
So we know that rapists like to degrade and humiliate their victims. And what is it that Harley is doing here? Just look at how abusive he is towards Hannah publicly. Is it really so hard to believe that he abused her privately too? He mentioned the next day, so let's talk about the next day.
Alright, got a vasectomy. So you got this on? Stand the fuck up.
So as we can see, he's on the airport on the 29th, and as we can see by the lighting, it's early in the morning. Now, why the hurry to leave the country if he has done nothing illegal? That's quite a coincidence, and as you'll learn through this video, there's quite a few of these coincidences like adding up, all suggesting one thing, that Harley Johnston is a rapist.
And then we hanged out, and maybe she stayed a bit over, so you can stay over if you want. She said, I've got a friend staying there, I better go back. I was a little suspicious, you know. I said, no worries, you know, all cool.
So once again, Harley has changed his story. Here he's saying that Hannah went back to her friend that stayed in her apartment, but in this comment, he's claiming that she stayed to the early hours of the morning. But we just saw a video of him being at the airport early in the morning.
And also gave her a bicycle lock and a bicycle pump.
As we already know, he used this bike pump to pressure Hannah. And here he is trying to make it out that he's this kind and giving guy.
And I walked her out, helped her strap her to the bike. I even think I fixed the bike for her. Like...
He can barely keep a straight face. He's actually enjoying this. This is just another layer of abuse. To spread this lie and get people to harass and ridicule Hannah.
Let's keep talking a bit about me. I was a virgin till I was 21.
The conversation gets way off track.
This got absolutely nothing to do with anything. Okay, so he was a virgin until he was 21. So therefore he can't rape when he's 40? Like, what's his point? It's like, it's just pure manipulation.
When I was 17, I had my first kiss. My friend was 16 years old, and that was in 1994. So the only time I've had any kissy or whatever, romance, with anyone under age 18 was once in my life when I was 17 and my friend Leslie was 16. And then she friend-zoned me the next day and I was shut down. And then I didn't have any more interest with you until I was 21 and I had my first girlfriend Jenny. And I was a virgin up until 21. Okay? So that's a bit about my background, just to be 100% transparent.
So basically he's been rejected his entire life. Is that why he's targeting girls in this age group now? Is that why he's forcing himself on girls who reject him in this age group? Is this like some kind of sick revenge or something?
But I want to be 100% transparent. 100% transparent.
So he claims to be 100% transparent, but we've already proven several lies. And while he called for full transparency, he was blackmailing Hannah behind the scenes, so she wouldn't speak against him. And also, all the unmasking videos and all the videos I made, he's done everything he can to get them taken down, so he's not for full transparency. He's only for spreading his lies and having nobody like stand up against them.
If she was raped or sexually assaulted, why did she come back the second night?
So he just said in his own video just a little earlier that nothing happened the first night, and now he's suddenly saying that if she was raped or sexually assaulted, why did she come back the second night? Well, because nothing happened the first night, maybe. And as we also know, it wasn't exactly like this it happened, that she just came back. He pressured her to come back. And we also have to remember that from Hannah's perspective, she had made it perfectly clear that she wasn't interested in him. Is it really too much to expect that he would respect that? Another thing is that he was a completely different person from the first night to the second night.
They don't have their own personality. There is nothing there. It's all surface, right? So they're just putting on these different masks to figure out what they need to do, how they need to manipulate. Narcissists can instill this false sense of trust with their victims in order to manipulate and have their victims lower their guard.
So he came to my room, and that night it was actually okay because we just talked.
You probably got to be exploited at some point. If you don't trust what I say, I want you to trust me so you get the best out of your life. This is why I'm here. My highest value in life is contribution. When people come to my event, they're under my care, technically, really. Because if something happens, I don't want anything to happen, but it's on me as well. So that's why I'm protective, man. That's just me, man. It's just me being Daddy Durianrider. I do my best to create a safe environment for young girls to come. But society should be fucking safe enough without some fuckers trying to exploit them, in my opinion. You know, that's the world I would like to live in, and that's the world I like to enforce. That's the community I have created. And so I guard that community aggressively and passionately. If you're in my community, you always feel safe.
Some of these people do a really great job at hiding this. They might even come across as a very upstanding citizen, that they really, value morals and ethics and values and laws, and then here they are doing the exact opposite behind closed doors.
Because I trusted him after that. I was like, oh, okay, so he actually just wants to be friends with me.
I really felt within a short period of time that I really could trust them.
And yeah, so then the day after he wanted to see me again, and he wanted me to come to his room, and I was like, okay, we'll just hang out again because we're friends now.
They're just going to talk their way into getting the victim to trust them.
Like with the whole trust thing, really go above and beyond to instill this feeling in their victim of, wow, you can really trust me.
You just need to trust me. You have to trust. I want you to trust. Trust me. I want you to trust me. Trust. Trust what I say. Trust me.
So what they'll do is they'll pretend to have this like life of total transparency.
I want to be 100% transparent. 100% transparent.
The reality is they're not being open and honest and transparent. It's all, like everything else they do, it's a manipulation. The reality is they lie. They lie and they deceive. That's what they do.
Suddenly, rape becomes part of their repertoire. So suddenly, forcing sex on the target.
You're like 40 and I'm 18, and I don't think that we should be doing this because you're like so much older than me, and I don't think this is right.
I just started to feel sick.
Yeah, so I said I don't think we should do this.
I said no and tried to laugh it off.
I kind of tried to just brush it off.
He asked me again and I said no again.
He kept asking those questions.
He asked me again if I was sure.
Yeah, he just kept asking
and the answer was still no.
I tried to brush it off by saying, oh, I think they should just like keep their distance and wait, kind of like wait and see. But he didn't.
But he didn't respect my answer.
He then tried to kiss me.
He kissed me anyway.
And I kind of stepped back and I was like, I don't think we should do this. Like, I don't think I want to do this.
He didn't listen to my excuses.
He then tried to kiss me again.
If the word no is said, it is now rape. So an abuser doesn't care. An abuser will just force their issue because they're an abuser. This is what abusers do. They want their way or the highway. And no does not mean anything to them, unfortunately.
What was strange about that situation is he was so taken aback and almost, I'm not sure, confused or angry that I said no to him.
You know, their wants, their needs, their everything is utmost. And if you reject them, if you say no to sex, they will fly into a rage. They will start throwing things. They will start destroying property.
The wheels of my bike were gone. So my bike was locked by the frame downstairs at my apartment building, and my wheels were just gone.
They'll go harm a car. They'll slash tires. There's a cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Now that was a few hours after Harley got so angry at me, and he knows exactly which one my bike is. Obviously, he knows exactly where I live.
Yeah, sex suddenly becomes a weapon.
Why didn't you send me emails after we had sex, complimenting me about the sex, making jokes about the sex? I said to her in the book review, I said, I'm going to do your video, is there anything I should say? And HC says, how about you tell him I'm a good lay? Winky face.
He has repeatedly said that he has stored all the emails, all the messages, yet we've never seen any of the emails he's talking about here. Why is that, do you think?
Is that the sort of work? And I've got a lot more information on that. I'm not going to go there because that's personal stuff. I've probably already been a bit too personal, but I felt HC abused our relationship of trust by sharing information that freely said to her in trust. And she made a video about that on YouTube.
This is pure projection. It was Harley who abused their relationship of trust. We also have to remember why Hannah made her video. It was because Harley was projecting his own sexually predatory behavior onto another man in the community. That's why Hannah shared this information.
So I don't know, this is the first time in my life this sort of situation's happened, but I've learned that the best way forward is 100% transparency of what happened. I was single in Chiang Mai. HC was single in Chiang Mai.
His whole explanation for me making these videos was that Hannah cheated on me, but here he's saying that she was single. And she was single. But of course, when I started to make my videos, he changed the story once again, because what would be the alternative? That I made these videos because he's a rapist?
There was a mutual attraction. There had been flirting with her to me prior to that, which is normal, natural, not illegal. I saw an opportunity, I made my intention clear.
So he made his intentions clear. How? By pretending that he needed help with his ebook cover and channel art? What about the message he sent to Josie? Does this look like someone who is making his intentions clear to you?
It was only about, like, he only wanted to talk to me about my camera and I shouldn't worry, and I was like, oh, okay. So, like, he doesn't have any bad intentions, so it's okay. And I kind of trusted him. I was looking up to him as this, like, community leader who was doing great things, I thought at the time. I did not know what I was dealing with.
She wrote me emails. She came back to my hotel room twice. She invited me into a bedroom, just me and her. Closed the door.
So he's made up this story and now he's just repeating it over and over again. It's pure, like, it's brainwashing. It's what he's doing here.
All these things, in my opinion, which are done by an adult female, single, are all above board, natural, normal, healthy, nothing.
All these things aren't how it happened. Remember, this started by Harley accusing another man of this, and according to Harley this was so disgusting, but then when the tables turned, suddenly it became all normal, natural and healthy. Interesting how that works.
So this is a guy who's creeping around with teenage girls, and I was definitely justified in calling him a sexual predator, feeling that because he was harassing these girls. And he just harasses them again and again and again, and stalking them again and again and again, video after video after video, and going after it again and again and again and again. Then that's really, really, really disgusting.
Do I have a justification in saying that cunt, get fucked, you fucking creep bag? I feel justified. And anyone who disagrees with me, you're still fucking wrong, and you're probably a sexual predator your fucking self.
What's the difference between a psychopath and a sociopath? There is no difference, guys. It's all terminology. It's all what is politically correct. So we used to call people psychopaths, now we call them antisocial. Basically, it's the same thing. What it is somebody who does not value or believe that the rules apply to them. And that's usually a dark triad. That's usually the psychopathy, the narcissism, and the Machiavellianism, the need for control.
Isol has been alleged by Durian to have been involved in sexual abuse and liking underage girls and stuff, just because Durianrider is a narcissist. And you do not mess with a narcissist. They will destroy your life if they can. They have no holdbacks. They have no morals about doing this. Here's a little clip from him, and this is really what got this started. Hannah then came out and said that this was a while back, but seeing him allege someone else of that is so hypocritical, I'm getting involved.
You enjoyed yourself. My emails and Instagram messages prove that.
If you're certain they'll vindicate you, why won't you just release them to the public? Don't you think we would have seen it at this point?
There's other ways I can prove that as well. There's other people that know what went on in Chiang Mai.
Who are these other people? Were they in the room? Unless they were, they don't really know. It's just word against word. Part 5 is about showing people why I believe Hannah and Josie and the other girls that I will bring up later in this video. You have to remember that it was Harley that made this about rape, and it was he that wanted the viewers to be the judge. So that's exactly what we're doing here in part 5.
Now, I'm not sure of your motivation for this video.
He just said earlier in the video that he knew why Hannah was doing this, and now he suddenly don't know anymore. He's just all over the place.
But what I find amusing is that you put your ebook advert at the end of the video. So if someone's been raped or sexually assaulted, why would they advertise their ebook at the end of the video?
Again, he's trying to make it seem like he has a good point. But remember, Hannah's video wasn't about rape, it was about hypocrisy. And she didn't advertise her ebook. She used the same end card that she used in all her other videos. Wouldn't it be more suspicious if she suddenly took that end card out in this video? Wouldn't that make it seem like it was more serious than what she actually said in the video?
Now they'll probably delete that and edit it out, but I've downloaded that video just in case I want to change it. So if you've been raped or sexually assaulted, why would you advertise your product?
Okay, so there's a few things I want to point out here. First of all, Hannah's original unedited video is still up on YouTube. She got nothing to hide. Harley's videos, however, about Hannah are deleted. I downloaded those videos though, in case he wanted to change his story. And as I've proven in this video already, he has changed his story quite a bit. I also took a screen recording of his videos, because he was the one who was selling ebooks. He was the one that made this about rape, and he was the one trying to make money off of this. Now, right after Harley claimed that Hannah made her video to sell ebooks, Hannah actually took down her ebook, so she hasn't sold one single ebook because of her video. And that's despite Hannah actually wrote her own ebook, while Harley is stealing other people's intellectual property and selling it as his own through his ebook, and making this about rape and trying to make money off of it. He's projecting this behavior onto Hannah. He's the one who's doing everything he's accusing Hannah of, and Harley is still spreading this lie to this day. Here's a Tumblr post he made just a couple of weeks ago. But he doesn't hold any grudges towards her, right?
Now I'm in Joe Best's shoes, and I've learned from that the fastest way out is to tell 100% the truth. One take video, no jump cuts.
Now, who was it that created the situation about Joe Best?
This is the worst one, because this is the one where he tries to make out I'm creeping on the gal. And it's an appalling effort because it's just so bogus. And I completely destroy it in this video. So now he's doing a privacy complaint on this video.
So here's another example of Harley accusing others of things, and then when they defend themselves, he's doing everything he can to take down their defense. This is what he did to me too.
So what he writes is, recently he invited this East Euro girl to stay over.
He sent me messages being like, are you back in Chiang Mai? Where are you staying? When are you coming up the door? He messaged me again saying, do you want to meet up tonight? I can come to your room. And at that point I felt quite uncomfortable, honestly, because, you know, he's like 40 years old, I'm 18.
He's a 40-year-old approaching teenage girls who don't approach him, he's approached them. So if people approach me, I never approach random teenage girls.
We talked a few times at the festival, not much. He like noticed me, that he knew who I was, that he even knew my name.
That's just like fucking really, in my opinion, predatory, pedophilic behaviour, in my opinion.
I think I said I was tired and I was going for a ride the next day, but then he said to me that it was only about, like, he only wanted to talk to me about my camera and I shouldn't worry, and I was like, oh, okay. So like, he doesn't have any bad intentions, so it's okay, and I kind of trusted him.
He tried to play mind games with her to get her to stay and make her feel really guilty for doing what she wanted to do, leave a toxic house. He is almost 50 and she is 20. He is a mind manipulator.
So once again, here's another example of Harley projecting his own behavior onto others.
I have some evidence of the guy being an absolute emotional manipulator towards a young woman who confided in me about the whole thing. And it absolutely disgusted me. It disgusted me, and it made me really realise the kind of person that Harley Johnston actually is.
And he really tried to direct the conversation towards sex, which I felt a bit uncomfortable with again, because he was so much older than me and I hardly knew him as well. He then tried to kiss me and I kind of stepped back and I was like, I don't think we should do this. Like, I don't think I want to do this. And what was strange about that situation is he was so taken aback and almost, I'm not sure, confused or angry that I said no to him. It's like he wouldn't expect any girl to ever say no to anything that he wants to do with them.
Narcissists really do a great job at manipulating and getting what they want by saying certain things like, you know, by using guilt or shame or obligation or even fear to get their way. And yeah, he just kept asking until I felt almost really stupid about saying no to him, because I felt like if he was questioning my decision so much, I was thinking surely there must be something wrong with me to say no to him. So at some point I just felt so stupid about my own decisions, my own. And so victims often feel really pushed.
You know, and at that point I was like, maybe I'm just making a deal out of something that shouldn't be a big deal.
The victim gets very confused and they kind of think, well, maybe I'm just being prude, or maybe that there's just something wrong with me, and
maybe I'm being the stupid one. Maybe I should have just let him do whatever he wants to do. He then tried to kiss me again. And, you know, as I said earlier, I wasn't really confident anymore in that situation, so I kind of just let him do it.
And of course, this manipulative person, this narcissist, is saying things like, well, it's really you, like you're the prude, you're the problem. But it doesn't matter if that even is the case, because it's probably not. But even if it was the case, if a person's not okay with doing something in any way, shape, or form, especially sexually.
Most women out there, most girls, 16 and 25-year-old, they're so easy to manipulate, they're so easy to bullshit.
And, you know, it's really weird, I guess, looking back, that I let him do that.
You're looking back and you're thinking, I can't believe, because you're going to see everything a lot more clearly.
If there was something that he was doing that I didn't feel comfortable with, every time I kind of just blamed myself, and in a way that was like, maybe I'm being the stupid one here, maybe I shouldn't worry about this. And, you know, maybe this is just me and I'm just being weird.
So if you feel any of these ways, it's incredibly normal. It's because there's two reasons that a person feels this way. The first reason, because you've been manipulated for a long time.
The whole thing about manipulation is, at the time that you're being manipulated, you don't realize you're being manipulated. That's the whole point of manipulation. So that's why I'm only telling the story now. This whole like illusion that I had of him was just crashed, because I thought he was, you know, as I said earlier, I thought he was so great. But then he, you know, refused to use condoms.
Durianrider. Or your account is going to have problems. You can trash me, but don't trash teen girls in my community, man. I won't tolerate that.
He kept harassing me, just mocking me for absolutely everything. Like, he was mocking my face, saying He kept saying basically anything that he thought would hurt me the most is what he said. Like, he said I was really fat and I would always be single. He was just mocking me in every way he could, that I should be like ashamed of myself and things like that. He also commented on my Facebook. I might get the screenshot up here if I can. Basically commented saying that I should be, I'm not sure what he said, I should be ashamed of myself, and he said, I hope your daddy's proud of you for sleeping with a 40-year-old creep in the hopes of getting a new computer. And that shift just happened because I was speaking out against him. Now, you have to remember, this is a guy who will say pretty much anything anything that will fit into his perfect little worldview that he has, where he's the big hero and the leader and, you know, just the great guy, and everyone else is trying to destroy him.
This was in relationship to a video that I made regarding a certain person that I feel has been the biggest victim in this community and has put on a lot of weight. The video was very respectful, and it wasn't in any way sexualized or anything about trashing a teen girl. It was just pointing out facts of what had happened to her own weight using her own testimony.
And I just want to get this story out there, especially so that young girls can be warned and can know who they're dealing with, because obviously I had no idea what I was dealing with. Obviously, if I could go back, I would not trust him at all. And I think that's really dangerous, especially in a community like this, where you have someone like that as the community leader.
Because I'll tell you what, our community is very easy to exploit. So many trusting people, naive people, well-meaning people.
So that's why I just wanted to get the story out there, just so that people know what they're dealing with and so that people are warned. I just want him out of my life, and I just want to get this out there so that he can't do to other people what he did to me.
They accuse you of doing things that you're not doing. So this is also called projection, and projection is in this type of dynamic where one person is taking their thoughts and feelings and actions and then projecting them onto another person.
One of my friends said to me, whatever Durianrider accuses you of, he's doing.
And it tends to be very specific. So the narcissist might be accusing their victim of some form of lying, cheating, stealing, or manipulating, some sort of destruction in their life.
Whatever he accuses you of, he's doing.
And the thing is, they tend to be very worked up about it. I mean, really agitated.
But then he's just gone up another level. So I've skipped past this. I'm not going to go into it in detail, but then he started going, take down your video, you're a fucking cunt, fucking fake cunt, fucking dog, all this kind of stuff. Dog, fucking shit, fucking hate, fucking cunt, all this, just loads and loads of messages.
This behavior, they turn really just verbally hateful and abusive and just horrid. And again, it can lead to, destroying things. It can lead to hitting. It can lead to sexual assaults. It can lead to all kinds of things.
But what's really going on is the narcissist is accusing the victim of everything that they're either thinking about doing or that they're actively doing.
And as I explained a second ago, they project. When a narcissist judges someone, what they're really doing is they're projecting. In other words, they are seeing themselves in other people. And if you ever notice when a narcissist judges someone, and you know that narcissist well, they're actually talking about themselves. And it's almost always accurate.
While he's crying to you lot and apologizing and talking about trust and communication being taken out of context, this person is trying to attack me on every level and scare me and threaten me with violence and threaten to come and do things and just all kinds of stuff.
In other words, he's not at all in the same shoes as Joe Best, and it's actually quite insulting to Joe to claim that this is the same kind of situation.
If no one believes me, I've got more evidence. I've got more people.
I've done the Unmasking series for an entire year now, and many people do not believe his lies anymore, but he has not produced any more evidence or brought forward any more people.
Ask HC, did you have sex with Harley? Did you consent with that? Did you have a good time? Did you say various things during that time? Here's the thing you'll learn with women. If a woman gets sexually assaulted or abused or threatened, 99% of the time they will not speak up about it. And if they do, they'll speak about it once, and if maybe a year goes past, a few goes past, and someone's asked them about it, testify or do a statement, they won't do it. Because women hate having any social awkwardness. They feel embarrassed or ashamed, or they blame themselves, or they don't want any drama. drama's overwhelming. The drama's overwhelming. So you don't want to get involved as a female. So that's why most rape cases or sexual harassment at work cases never go anywhere, because women feel too embarrassed to report it or feel too embarrassed or ashamed to testify in court.
So he's telling people to ask Hannah about it, while knowing that it's very unlikely that she will talk about it. And you have to remember, at the same time he's blackmailing and threatening her behind the scenes, so she won't talk about it.
Narcissists and sociopaths and those kinds of people tend to be very driven by power and control. And the whole degrading and humiliating behavior tends to be taken kind of to an extreme. It's their way of really showing that they have power and control over other people and over this situation. And again, the degree that they are doing this kind of behavior also has a lot to do with how sadistic they really are. So if they really enjoy seeing somebody suffer, if they really enjoy seeing their victim in pain, then these different ways that they go about degrading and humiliating a person can be, like anything else, it's a full spectrum. So it can be kind of mild, like discomfort that the victim's feeling, or it can be really extreme, very painful, very degrading, very humiliating and embarrassing behavior that it can take a victim a long time for them to move past this. Narcissists really do a great job at honing in on what makes that victim tick. And then they kind of just have them. They just know that they have them. And so that's how they get them to really do what they want, is by hitting those soft spots of their victim.
Now, I'm not going to put that information on the internet yet. I don't feel I have to, but there's a lot more. This is just scratching the surface.
So what he's doing here is he's blackmailing Hannah with gaslighting. So he's saying there's a lot more information, but he's not gonna put that out just yet. But you know, ask Hannah about it. She will tell you the truth. And then he kind of forces her to just go with his story, because or else he will make it a lot worse. But it's just gaslighting. He has nothing.
Gaslighting is a manipulation technique that's designed, it's done obviously by other manipulative people, tends to be narcissists and antisocials, other kind of cluster B personalities there, and cults. And what it is it's a series of techniques really that are done to get the victim to kind of question their sanity, and it's very effective because the victim really does start wondering, like, man, I must be really losing it. The modern forms of gaslighting might be somebody that's just flat out denying their behavior. It's just gaslighting. Then the victim just accepts their truth as reality, and they kind of just swallow their concerns and their doubt.
So as you'll see a little later in this video, Harley's continued blackmailing and gaslighting initially worked, and Hannah backed down and just did as he told her, because he said that it would stop if she did. But I couldn't let her do that, so I made her stand by the truth. And you can see how much longer that has made this whole process, and how it has made the abuse continue for almost 2 years now.
It's like they don't ever think about consequences, and they're always kind of shocked when there are consequences, which is, again, it's just kind of funny. I guess it's that sense of entitlement of I should just be able to do whatever I want to do without any, ramifications, without laws and rules. They really feel like just really don't apply to them.
So I mentioned a few times that Harley gaslighted and blackmailed Hannah behind the scenes during this time. So let me just prove this to you. Here you can see the kind of messages he sent her, telling her he has screenshots, voice recordings, telling her that she was so loud at night, just pure gaslighting. And here you can see he's threatening to put a recording up online via an anonymous account, even if everything Harley said was true. This is illegal to record someone without their knowledge. And here he's blackmailing her by saying he will put it online. That's even more illegal. And then he's trying to use me against her, saying that, oh, I wouldn't appreciate that and stuff like that. This is just pure blackmailing to make Hannah do as he wants. Then he's just gaslighting. Then he's calling her an idiot, saying she's not his type. And then he's mentioning all these guys, and notice how he's keeping it all very vague. You have to remember that Hannah and Harley barely knew each other. So we tried to figure out where he got all these nationalities from. As we know, narcissists like to take a kernel of truth and just surround it with a bunch of lies. And then Hannah remembered that she had appeared in a video where there was an Israeli guy, an American guy, and a French guy. And this just demonstrates the level of stalking that he does. And he's trying to throw shit at the wall and just hope that something sticks. And just look how upset he is about the steroids. I'm on steroids now? LOL!
They tend to be very worked up about it. I mean, really, really agitated.
The thing is, now we know that he was on steroids. It was confirmed by Freely after they broke up, and he even admitted to it himself a couple of months later. And the only reason he admitted to it was because everybody already knew. And then he claims Hannah was all sexed up and ready. Now this is what Hannah was wearing, and Hannah's friends can confirm this. As we know, Hannah was out with her friends that evening. And then he continues to just gaslight her with all this nonsense. And then he's claiming that he sent himself a screenshot to his own email about something Hannah supposedly said. It's weird that we haven't seen this screenshot though. And then after having gaslighted Hannah and blackmailed her and threatened her, saying he would put up all these recordings and shit, he's telling her that she now needs to do a response video and it's time to tell the truth. What he's really saying is that Hannah needs to just repeat his story. Repeat all the gaslighting and stuff, or else he will do what he has threatened to do.
When our abuser is abusing us, they are filling our head full of shit. I mean, really, truly, literally horse shit. Just bullshit. It's mega bullshit. They are pushing their agenda. They are pushing their lies. You know, this, that, and the other thing about who you are.
Narcissists, you know, are never accountable for their behavior. Because they don't think they have a problem, but of course, and also it would never work. So in their mind, they're always either the victim or the hero. Somehow, some way, they are somehow a victim of circumstance. They're going to somehow turn that around on you. If they're good at being a narcissist, they're going to be able to convince other people of that. They might even be so good that they convince you of that. That's what's super crazy making. Is, you know, I can talk to a lot of these victims, and I've heard enough stories where there's a term called gaslighting, and it's a crazy making manipulation technique that narcissists and other manipulative people use, and it's to get victims to question their sanity. I think a lot of victims, when they come across the term gaslighting and they begin talking to other people and they begin seeing these different forms of gaslighting, it's really just this very intense emotional moment. You just break down and just start crying because it's like everything makes sense and you're not crazy.
And this is exactly what happened. So let me tell you how I found out about what had happened to Hannah, as Harley constantly claims that she was lying to me and stuff, but I knew about this long before Hannah made her video. In fact, I was the one who pressured her to make her video. So what happened was, when I met Hannah and in the early stages of our relationship, I quickly noticed that something wasn't right. She struggled with intimacy. So it went to the point where I was like, are you okay? And Hannah was always like, yeah, I'm fine, but I could tell that she wasn't. So I tried to like pressure her to tell me what was going on, and she always got very upset whenever I tried to like ask about this. So after I had like asked about it many times, she finally told me, and she told this whole story that she told earlier in this video. And I can't remember exactly what I said, but I said something like this is rape. And she just bursted out crying, and she just cried and cried and cried. So it was like this was something she had just kind of suppressed, and I don't think she fully knew that she had been raped. But when I kind of just repeated it, she kind of realized it there, I think. Like she needed to hear someone else say it to like admit it to herself. So I told Hannah that we should report this, but she was so scared, and she just told me that nobody will believe her, and she just didn't want to do it and want to forget it and just move on with her life. And she kind of just made me promise to not make a big deal out of it. But like at the time I didn't really know who Harley was. I had just seen him in some Freely videos and stuff, so I wanted to look into who this guy is. And one of the first thing, like this was around the time where Jen Felici died, so one of the first thing I discovered was the whole Jen Felici or Jen Journey thing happening, and I could not believe how the vegan community could like just let him get away with this. And then like right after this, he started to accuse other men of things he had done. Like he detailed things that Hannah had told me, and I couldn't just stand by and watch this. So I wrote this long email to Isol that I intended to send to him via an anonymous account, where I kind of detailed that Harley was projecting his own crimes onto Isol, but I didn't mention any names or anything. So I wrote the email and I asked Hannah if she was comfortable with me sending it, and that's when Hannah said that, oh, he will just think it's a troll that wrote this. And that's when Hannah decided to put her identity to her story. And even though it was Hannah's decision to make her video in the end, it was after I had really shown her how wrong I think it was and how annoyed I was by her just letting this rapist get away with his crimes. And if you think the screenshots I just showed is fake, here's a video I took of the messages. So as you can see, I went to Harley's profile and went through his photos. Obviously this is a while ago, this is back in 2016, so you have to scroll back to see the same photos. But then I go into the messages, press send message, and look what comes up. The same messages that I just showed. And here you can actually see that Hannah asked him to not contact her again. But as we made perfectly clear already, this guy doesn't take no for an answer, so he just kept sending her messages until she blocked him. But before she did, I took this evidence because we were gonna take him to court, so I wanted to prove this for the judge. Now, if Harley's story was true, why does he believe Hannah has breast implants?
Hannah's saying I raped her, this, that, and the other thing. We did this together, we did that. Hannah has implants. What? Like, where the fuck did that come from?
Hannah has never had any kind of plastic surgery. So this is another thing that doesn't add up, and another thing where he exposes himself. He made a pretty massive mistake by making this claim that is so easily proven wrong. And Hannah could prove it, but as we've seen, Jennifer Felici proved that she had breast cancer, and she showed her breast on camera, and what did Harley do? He just made up even more lies about her.
So if HC wants to continue these allegations that she was raped by me or sexually assaulted by me, then let's put it all out on the table.
Now, first of all, Hannah didn't make any rape allegations in her initial video. And here you can see Harley, it's Harley that wants to put it all out on the table, and that's what we're doing here. And the only reason he said this was because he knew that Hannah couldn't do that back in 2016. And the only reason she can do it now is because she's been in therapy and she has worked through it and put the shame back where it belongs, on Harley.
It's just what marketing's become now. You create lies and slander in the vegan community to sell a vegan ebook that you got help with from me and freely.
So here he's trying to take credit for Hannah's work. Hannah wrote her ebook all on her own. The only thing Harley did was to like scroll through it and say, oh, it looks good. And he's projecting again. It's Harley who creates lies and slander to sell ebooks.
All your top hitting YouTube videos are the ones that I gave you tips on.
The conversation gets way off track.
And the people you met in Chiang Mai are from the festival that we created.
They didn't create the festival, they hijacked it from someone else, a guy called Derek. And let's be real, it's not really a festival, it's a meetup at best. So, to summarize this video.
We had sex. We had sex. And it was adult, consensual sex. So we had sex, it was all fun, it was all good, there was no pressure. HC had a good time. It was adult, consensual sex. There was no pressure, there was none of that at all. Consensual adult sex, when this was 100% consensual adult sex.
He keeps saying there was no pressure over and over again. There was no pressure. There wasn't any pressure. No, there wasn't. Nah.
When this was 100% consensual adult sex.
Being very adamant, and he's looking the camera right in the eye, it was 100% adult, consensual sex. I promise you that. It's pretty eerie, the way he stares at the camera at times.
And as we've already been through, we know he's staring at the camera because he's lying, he's overcompensating. Now, why is he repeating the same lies over and over and over and over again? It's a form of brainwashing.
Remember, about 98% of thought is unconscious and beyond conscious control. So if you can use language to activate your worldview in somebody else, you have power. First, repetition.
Right.
Over and over and over. The language means something. It activates what's called a frame in your brain, which is part of a worldview.
I have no cognitive ability to process that differently.
You have to resist it all the time in order to stop it. But most people don't. Most of the population can't consciously resist all the time.
Why?
because that's how brains work. If you have language that activates an idea which is physically there in your brain, every time it's activated, it gets stronger. The more it's repeated and activated, the stronger it gets.
So now you're telling me that my mind is so easily manipulated.
Some people's minds are. Not, yours may or may not be.
Yeah.
But most people are not consciously looking for what is going on opposing them. And most people don't think about other people's worldviews. If you hear some information that comes in and it doesn't fit what your brain can understand or comprehend, you're going to either change it or ignore it or attack it. One of those things. And in fact, I mean, lots of experiments show this. If you go into neuroscience, it's well known. That's what's going to happen. This is as a neural filter.
You're probably not going to win if you take them on directly, because they're smart enough, manipulative enough, and they have legions of followers who believe in this image of perfection and kindness and love. Their passive-aggressive ways will be able to take all of their followers and all of the people that drink their covert narcissist Kool-Aid, and they will be able to get them to understand what is wrong with you.
So because Haile had created this illusion for himself, and because people were buying into it, all he had to do was to create this story that didn't even make sense and just repeat it over and over again, and people would just take it as truth. Do you really think he's vegan? He's exploiting veganism to manipulate people.
You always have to tear people down and just like turn the vegan community into this thing where it's got such a bad reputation because of him. I'm going to show you another little clip of a separate video that he did hours later after that one. Here we go.
So would you like some more proof, and what proof would you like? Give this video a thumbs up if you want to see emails, Skype conversations recorded, screenshots recorded, Instagram messages recorded.
If I had loads of proof and I was being alleged to have sexually abused someone and I had something that said, yeah, look, they were well into it, they loved it, we did have sex as well, they failed to mention that, I'd be like, here, look at this. I've been alleged of that. I've got a right to show this information. Why is he holding back? Why is he saying you got to like this video and then I might show you?
Yeah, why is he holding back? It's because he has nothing. This is all a part of the gaslighting and blackmailing to make Hannah say that she wasn't raped.
This next clip makes me laugh. Just watch it.
I've got a lot of data. This is a 64 gig or 100 gig iPod. There's a lot of stuff on this. I've got like hundreds of gigs here. I've got an iPhone that I'm recording this with right now. That's full, about 110 gig of data on their footage.
What's his point? Like, I've got an iPhone, I've got an iPod, I've got an SD card. Just show us your Facebook chat that you wouldn't have deleted. This guy.
About 110 gig of data on their footage. I've got this computer here, this MacBook 500 gig, there's probably 350 gig on that. And I've got a hard drive in the Gold Coast, Australia. I've got a hard drive in Adelaide. So something's gonna come up. And I've also got my Gmail account. And I looked at it last night and showed a few people what was going on, and they're just like, this is shit.
So he has footage, voice recordings, emails, Instagram messages, screenshots, and he's showing nothing. Why is that?
In this video here, Durianrider is talking about the evidence. So he has plenty of footage. Just look at this. Look at that. Look at that.
A lot of data.
A lot of data. You can see that this is a full iPod and lots of USB sticks. And yeah, it's just, what the fuck do you say here, man? Norwegan. Norwegan. What do you have to say now? This is the footage, and this proves that everything is true what Durianrider is saying, because he has this evidence here in his hands. In this video you can see the evidence.
It seems like he's making a joke out of it, but he's actually serious. That's how brainwashed people were in the vegan YouTube community. And what do I have to say to it? Show it. He still claims to have it. As you can see in this post, he says he has some juicy tape recordings and very private footage that certain people never thought would see light of day. This is just him trying to scare me to not make part 5. But I know he has nothing because his whole story is a lie.
This is the bit where he bigs himself up some more.
You know, I'm really resilient. I'm like probably the most resilient person on the internet. Because I'm the person on the internet, and I'm not saying poor me, I'm saying I'm the person on the internet who gives more than anybody else.
More than anybody else? There's no one else possibly bigger on him than YouTube that gives more. What do you mean you give more? What do you do?
I put on free festivals, I donate my time more than anyone else, I put up more videos than anybody else.
You doing festivals where only people with a bike can go, if not they're a shit cunt, isn't giving. You selling an ebook, which you're going to say about in a minute, for $30 isn't you giving. You doing some videos that you make loads of money off isn't giving. And your videos just tear people apart. You're not good, mate. You're shit.
My ebooks are the best value product, no question, on the market, with the most helpful tips.
He's just trying to promote his book again. It's a shit book. Everyone that's read it has said it's poorly edited. He's never gone to school properly. He used to be on loads of drugs when he was younger. Oh, he's just a knob.
Let's not forget that his whole ebook is plagiarized, as I proved in my frauds video. And here he is again promoting his own ebook, the exact thing he's accusing Hannah of doing. Another projection.
Haters gonna hate no matter what I do. You know, like, no matter what I say. Haters pretend they didn't hear that, and then because a hater has selective hearing. They're like, oh my god, you tried to kiss a girl. They forgot that we had fucking sex afterwards. Then the next night she came back and we had adult consensual sex, and there's plenty of proof on that. Just ask Freely. Freely knows. Talk with Freely.
So he's being vague about the story, making it seem like something happened the first night and that Hannah came back the second night. But as we know, nothing happened the first night, as he confirmed himself in his first video. And then it tells people to ask Freely. We'll get back to what Freely says later in this video.
I just had to do a jump cut because I said the person's name. You know who I'm talking about.
So why doesn't he say her name? Is it because he knows he's slandering her and that Hannah can take him to court for this?
But here's the thing, is these people, I'm trying not to swear, these people are so fucked in the head, I swore, that they'd probably try and sue you, or they're so money hungry. I mean, this person alleges that I molested her.
Once again, I have to point out that Hannah didn't allege that he molested her. You can see how many times he brings up this lie. And then he says, oh, they probably tried to sue you, they're so money hungry, and no, it has nothing to do with money, it's because this is serious defamation.
This girl's like 23, 25 or whatever.
What about Josie? She's a teenager. And what about that 15-year-old? What did Freely say about that 15-year-old again? He told us to ask Freely, so what did Freely say? She said he would constantly stare at and do groundwork on young girls, even underage ones. He said that if we weren't together, he would fuck her if no one found out. She was 15. That's Freely who said that, and that's hardly admitting that he would rape someone if he could get away with it. A 15-year-old is underage, and underage girls can't consent by law.
I'm sorry, but having adult consensual sex with a 23 or 25-year-old when you're on a holiday, when you're both single...
It's not normal for someone in their 40s to sleep with teenagers and girls in their early 20s. And Hannah wasn't on a holiday. She was working in Chiang Mai.
And when you're both, you know, consenting, that's not fucking pedophilia.
She was not consenting. And who said anything about pedophilia? That's pretty concerning, as we've seen in this video that he tends to bring up things that he has done, even when he's not alleged of it.
And what it does by people using those things is it really disempowers the people who are legit victims of pedophilia, of sexual assault, of rape.
And this is exactly what Harley did when he falsely accused all these other men of rape.
Asking someone for a kiss and verbally saying, okay, you're sure, that's not sexual assault.
You're right, it's not sexual assault, but that's not what she's saying. She's not saying that you asked her, can I give you a kiss? She's saying you just went for it.
When the person comes back the next night, the same person who got sexually assaulted by you asking if you want to kiss them, and then they kiss you back. And then she says, let's go to the bed, and then she strips off her clothes, and then you have sex. That's not sexual assault. That's not rape. That's consensual adult sex.
Over and over and over again, the same lie. He brings it up over and over again. And here he says that she stripped off her clothes, but then again he is claiming that she has breast implants, which she doesn't have. So clearly there's something that doesn't add up here.
And just because she's got regret or she's mega jealous of Freely's success and she wants to throw Freely under the bus by, why would you share personal information that Freely told you on a YouTube video?
Now he's claiming this is about regret, but in his last video he claimed that Hannah had sent him emails complimenting him about the sex. So he's just all over the place now and jealous of Freely? Like, he makes no sense.
But you'll probably sell some ebooks, you'll get some more subscribers, because that's all you care about.
That's all she cares about, except for the fact that she removed her ebook and she also left her channel, so his reasons don't even make sense. He's just bringing up any reason he can think of, except for the actual reason.
He now skips ahead to once again be derogatory to her character, even though he has no fucking harsh feelings towards her, doesn't want anyone to hate on her, he talks out of his arse.
When you're interacting with somebody with narcissistic personality disorder, you will frequently feel invaded, you will frequently feel judged, and one of the favourite weapons is to judge you as being morally deficient. To attack you with a boundary-breaking judgment of something that you completely didn't consent to, and to act as though you are a false prophet, to act as though you had advertised yourself as this, but in reality you're this.
All you care about is a bit of fame, a bit of money. You don't really care about the vegan message. You're not a real vegan. You're just probably in it for a bit of weight loss, in it for a bit of money. But it's not your core belief.
This is Harley projecting again. He's the one that is in this for fame and money and weight loss. And he's the one that is not a real vegan. Veganism is not his core belief. Obviously, he's a rapist. And I think he's using this as a tactic. As you can see in this article called Sexual Harassment in the Animal Rights Movement, it says, women are told that if they speak out, they will be hurting the animals. In some cases, the victims are threatened with lawsuits or physical violence if they go public. And this is exactly what Harley has done. Threatened Hannah with lawsuits and physical violence. I've showed you the death threats already. And the only reason he got Hannah to his hotel room was because she wanted to help someone she thought was a vegan activist. Here's another post I found that says grassroots activists are at risk too, especially new activists who are so excited to be making a difference. They presume that the men they are meeting in the movement, especially because there are fewer men than women, are trustworthy and caring. And Harley knows this, and he exploits that fact. He even says so himself.
Because I'll tell you what, our community is very easy to exploit. So many trusting people, naive people, well-meaning people.
You're not a real vegan, you're not eating meat, you're not wearing leather, you're not doing any of that, but you're a fake vegan because you disagree with me or you've called me out on something bad that I did. I'm going to destroy you now because I'm a narcissist.
I never see you riding around town or going around town with a vegan shirt. I never see you really active. I never see you really donating your time.
Again, the whole reason Harley managed to lure Hannah to his hotel room was because she was donating her time to help someone she thought was a vegan. And that whole shout-out deal is a shit deal. And Hannah has helped many other vegan YouTubers without asking anything in return. On top of that, Hannah's ebook was about helping people go vegan, and she worked on that ebook all on her own, didn't steal from anyone like Harley.
For you it's about money and fame, and that's unfortunate. But don't pretend it's more than that.
She's not making any money probably with 7,000 subscribers. I make £5 a month. That's fuck all. You sell an ebook for $30 to your idiot clan that follows you, and you make stupid money from all your shit videos that you put out, you hypocrite.
Huge hypocrite. Why? Why do they do this? Well, narcissistic people they're selfish, and they have this attitude of entitlement that they just are entitled, and that the world just needs to be okay with it. That's what makes their behavior so problematic. It's because there's no true accountability on their behalf for what they're doing, and because there's no accountability of that what they're doing is wrong, there's no remorse and there's no real desire to change.
So if you want to see more evidence, if you want me to go for all this stuff, I'm happy to do that. Take a bit of time. We've got hard drives in Australia. I'm happy to fly back there, get them, whatever it takes to show people without question that we did have sex.
Why would your conversations on Facebook or text or whatever be on an SD card, a hard drive, or a fucking iPod? It makes no sense.
Exactly. Nothing in his story makes sense. But it doesn't have to, because rape culture.
And she had no complaints. And even her friend, I got another email this morning from someone saying, yeah, Harley, I was there that night. This girl came back and her friends said a certain joke, and the girl who got assaulted laughed, and that was a close friend of hers, so she could read if she came back crying, the good friend wouldn't have made the joke. Okay,
so according to his own story, Hannah both went home after midnight and during the early hours in the morning. What are the chances for her meeting several of her friends, having someone make this joke on her way home? The only person who saw Hannah when she went home was the friend who stayed at her apartment. And if Harley wants to take this to court, we can subpoena her and she can tell what state Hannah was in.
It was all good. It was all good between us. There was nothing wrong at all. But this whole Dr. Evil thing come out, and this person thought, man, I might sell an extra 2 or 3 ebooks. Might get extra couple of hundred subscribers.
Once again, she removed her ebook and left YouTube. If this was Hannah's goal, she could have made many response videos and have this back and forth thing that Harley wanted to have.
And research shows that this kind of coverage rots our brains. When we watch these kinds of he said, she said debates, we're less likely to think that we can figure out the truth. We get disillusioned, our brains check out. The mere repetition of rumors and falsehoods makes audiences more likely to see those things as credible.
Kicking someone while they're down, spitting in the face of Freely, essentially, metaphorically. Spitting in Freely's face after all Freely has done for you.
So Hannah is the one who spat Freely in the face, yet who was it that targeted multiple young females in the community right after he had broken up with Freely? What was it this person told Freely just a few weeks before the breakup again? Oh, this is it. I can't imagine my life without her. Talk about spitting someone in the face. And what is it that Freely has ever done for Hannah?
And all the hard work Freely's, she's in Chiang Mai. You're sitting on your lazy ass. How can I make Freely's life harder? Freely's riding up the mountain every day, doing the Q&A. Freely, working so hard and working herself into the ground, and all you can do is metaphorically spit in her face. Make her life, try and make her life a little bit harder. Lucky that Freely's got a hard skin, a hard shell. Lucky that Freely's passionate, and she's got a fire of passion that won't be put down by your spit of hate.
You can tell that they had a lot of problems in the relationship at this point, because this is Harley not talking to the viewers or Hannah. This is him talking to Freely. So he can say later, oh, look at how I supported you and blah 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 blah, and now you owe me. Because that's how his brain works.
So all you people out there, this girl included, just look in the mirror. You're not real vegans. All your videos are about attacking other vegans.
Here he's projecting again. I've shown hours and hours of evidence of him attacking other vegans.
And we have to defend ourselves.
Narcissistic abuse strategies, gaslighting, controlling a narrative, altering a narrative, assaulting someone and then crying out in pain as though it was them that had assaulted you, victimizing yourself.
You, the threat, who knows exactly who they really are, who can expose them, who calls them out, they have everything to gain by making you look bad. And because they're covert narcissists, they don't do anything direct. There's no direct aggression, there's no direct confrontation. It's passive aggressive reactions. The retaliation is manipulative, sometimes hidden, but when the passive-aggressive covert narcissist is going to fight you back, and they're doing it, as I said, behind the scenes, they have to do it in a way that protects their image and their facade. So the way that they do that is they set you up to look bad.
We have never ever done a video attacking someone. It's always defending someone because someone tries to say drama to get more subscribers, to sell more ebooks, to get more Patreon things or whatever. If you look back, you'll see that we never started.
Really? The Unmasking series debunks this lie. Is he claiming that Jennifer Felici attacked him first? Because she didn't even know who he was before he started to spread lies about her.
Just get a life, man. Do some videos about helping people with vegan lifestyle. Put up a few thousand videos. Do a 14-day free video course this week and upload it. Wouldn't do that, would you? Because you don't really care about people. All you care about is some money and some fame.
Alright, so if you do a video series that you get paid per view when you put it out on YouTube, that isn't free, mate. You're not doing that for anyone else but yourself, and your advice is shit. Eat 30 bananas a day? That's mental. That's it. He's probably gonna have a go at me now. Probably not, because this video won't get many views. What's your opinion on the guy? Do you think he's likely telling the truth? Or do you think Hannah Chloe, who would really have no reason to do this, make this stuff up, do you think she's telling the truth maybe? Because I think she is.
Why is it that anybody always, or everybody, most people in this country, have to give the benefit of the doubt to the guy? We always assume that the women are just lying about this. They do not have anything to gain from this.
Hannah had no reason to lie about this, and that's exactly why he's trying to make this about ebooks and subscribers and stuff. But as I already said, Hannah took down her ebook and left YouTube, so his argument doesn't even add up. And if Harley's story was true, who would want everyone to believe you're a victim just to sell ebooks? It doesn't make any sense. I mean, those kind of people exist, but everyone who knows Hannah knows that she's not that kind of person at all.
Thousands of young girls that follow her are going to have their lives really changed for the better because of what she's doing, because I know when I was a teenager, so much of my self-esteem
So this was the third video Harley made in response to Hannah's video, and I want you to take note of the date. This was the day before the assault. So Harley has to take a joke among friends, joking about the heat rash being a hickey, and lie about the dates and use this as some kind of evidence instead of showing all the messages he supposedly have. And even though he didn't say anything in the video, he made Tumblr posts like this, claiming that this was a hickey the day after, and posts like this where he claimed Hannah proudly sported a hickey the next day. He also claims that he knows what Hannah did and didn't tell me. He knows nothing about our relationship, he's just making this up. He's also claiming that Hannah kept sexting him for ages, but he failed to provide any of this evidence, even after he has claimed several times that he has stored all the messages. Here's another one saying the same thing, bringing up the supposed hickey, bringing up the supposed sexual messages. Here's another one he posted just recently. It's obvious that he asked this question himself, claiming that Hannah was extremely promiscuous a couple of years ago, claiming that everyone in Chiang Mai knows this. And let me remind you, this is almost 2 years after Hannah made a 10-minute video. I have a document that is 500 pages long now of him saying stuff like this. He has no hatred towards her though. I'll post a link to the document in the description below so you can see for yourself how psycho this person is. Anyway, so here he says, the funniest was when she posted that video in Chiang Mai with the hickey and she told Hebo that it was a heat rash from her work uniform, lol. Then he claims 1. She never wore a uniform. 2. She didn't have a job that required a uniform. 3. It was a fucking hickey from one of the many lads who had a go. Just pure bullshit, constantly trying to publicly humiliate and shame her. Now if Hannah never wore a uniform and she didn't have a job that required a uniform, how does he explain this Facebook post posted September 18, 2015? This is a drawing by one of Hannah's students of Hannah in her uniform. Interesting. And look at that, the drawing resembles this photo of Hannah in her uniform. And here's further proof that Hannah had a job that required a uniform. You can pause the video and read it if you want. Now if Harley was telling the truth, why does he have to lie so much about the situation?
Welcome to a video just quickly talking about some allegations, clearing up. If you don't want any more drama, click down below, there's a link down below for my cycling channel, Durianrider Cycling Tips. Let's just wrap this one up. Hannah is accusing me of a lot of things.
So here you can see he's lying about the dates. He's claiming it was around 25th or 26th of October, but we know it was 28th of October. Now he's also suddenly saying her name. And this was after he had forced Hannah to say publicly that she wasn't raped. So now he feels like he's back in control again. So now we can say her name.
I'm just unsure because in end of October, when we had consensual adult sex, the end of October 2015, if she was so offended, why on December 20th would she put me in a video? I'm not sure. Why is that?
Yeah, why is that? He knows exactly why.
The cluster B personality disorders, narcissism, histrionic, antisocial personality disorder and borderline personality disorders are marked by a codependent neurotic need to feed off the reactions of other people. The reactions they're feeding off may be terror.
And this brings us back to the intro of this video.
Any kind of denial of the narcissist's omnipotence, any denial of their grandiose vision of themselves, any denial of the narrative of their idealized false self, that sweaty, corrupted mask they insist on wearing, will cause narcissistic injury and a great deal of anger and distress and a good deal of stirring up of emotion. Sometimes it doesn't even require a direct opposition of the individual's self-perception. It doesn't even require that you actually say, no, you're not special. Sometimes you don't need to oppose them. Sometimes all you need to do is withdraw your special attention and fawning, enabling, sort of pandering, kid-gloving of that individual. If you just withdraw all that sugar-coated shit that you're firing at them, that can send them into a spiral of anxiety and confusion and insecurity, provocation, jealousy, rage, nastiness. They get vindictive, they get snappy, just because you're not giving them the special ego strokey that they need.
Can you imagine what he would have done if Hannah didn't include his name among all these other vegans in her video? Look at what he has done after Hannah opposed him.
Could you imagine if I'm going through the world and I need others, they must treat me in the way that I demand, or they must do certain things for me, god damn it, and I punish them when they don't, or I sulk when they don't, or I become enraged when they don't. Just look at it objectively, like a third person point of view. How do I sound? Pretty fucking crazy and unreasonable, right?
So that's one of the reasons. Another reason is that you have to remember that this was back in 2015 and Harley still had this whole public image that he was this great leader and vegan activist, and people believed in this image. Can you imagine Hannah making a video about vegan activism and not include his name? What kind of questions that would bring up? You have to remember that Hannah never wanted anyone to know about this. A third reason is that she was also diagnosed with PTSD, and as I said earlier in this video, she had kind of just suppressed what had happened to her.
PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder, is a condition where a traumatic event or a series of traumatic events causes you to have difficulty processing what has occurred.
And if you don't believe that rape victims can block out what has happened to them, I recommend watching The Keepers on Netflix.
Here's an iPhone, we're just scrolling through here. This is not Photoshop, this is legit, you can't fake this. This is a picture that I helped Hannah put up.
He helped Hannah put up. Take note of what he said there.
Yeah, this is November 2015. Depends on where country you're in, what date you'll see it. Maybe October, late October, or different time zones, 24-hour differences. So it might be October 31st, 30th, depending on where you're at.
So the potluck was on the 26th, and the first evening was on the 27th. The second evening was on the 28th, and on the 29th he left the country. And then look at this Tumblr post that was posted the 30th. What a coincidence. Someone asks about Hannah. Who can this someone be? And then you have Harley saying that he was only talking with Hannah the other night. And just to prove that this was posted on the 30th, here I've gone into the page source, and here you can see date published, 30th of October 2015. This is important to know because this is him blackmailing Hannah to do something he told her to do. Now when you just see this Tumblr post, you can't see that it's blackmail, but that's just because you don't know all the details. So let me tell you all the details. After Harley raped Hannah, he told her to post a photo of her body and tag him and Freely.
This is a picture that I helped Hannah put up.
And if she didn't do this, he would do exactly what he has done here that I've showed you. Tell everyone she's like promiscuous and have slept with everyone in Chiang Mai and all this bullshit. And when Hannah didn't post this photo, that's when he posted this Tumblr post.
They might make thinly veiled threats, something where if somebody else were to see them, like through text messages, that it wouldn't necessarily register as a threat.
This is him pressuring her to do as he has told her to do.
Right, so he's wrote this, right? Because what he does is he gets a situation in his life he doesn't like, and then magically some random person happens to ask him a question about this.
This whole situation was about Harley getting back at Freely after Freely dumped him. That's why he wanted to sleep with all these girls, to just get back at Freely. And when this expectation was not met, when the girl said no, he just forced himself on them anyway, because they have to fit in his reality. This is how sick this person is, and this is why I created the whole Unmasking series, so people can understand that he's a narcissist and that he's like psychologically damaged.
So basically you tap on that, and Hannah's tagged me on her breast, and she's tagged Freely as well. So I'm not sure why she's tagged Freely.
He's not sure why she has tagged Freely. Now here's my question. How could Harley possibly know that he was tagged in this photo that was posted like 8 months ago? In this Tumblr post, he's saying that he has turned all notifications off.
And this is just a couple of days after. This is just a couple of days after she alleges that I preyed on her or whatever she's alleging. So let us know down below, what do you think of this? Is this the behavior of someone who was sexually assaulted or exploited? That they would put up a post in their lingerie, sports clothing, etc. a few days afterwards, and then they would tag their alleged attacker, social media tag Durianrider. It's a couple of days afterwards, it's a couple of days after she came back in the second night, back to my hotel room. Alright? And why would you tag... I've slowed this down, it looks a bit creepy with that finger, but I've just slowed it down so people can see it. Why would you tag your attacker on your breast? Why would you?
Now we know why.
So we definitely don't hate this girl, but I would like Hannah to make an apology video to Freely for disclosing private information that she did. Personal private information. There was no need to do that.
If you uncover it and you bring it to light, especially in public, they have everything to gain by making you look bad, making you look irrational, by making you look mentally ill, or just to intimidate you and berate you until you actually recoil and admit to them that you were wrong. And they have too much to lose not to discredit you and turn it around back to you.
Freely's been through enough. She works hard enough. She doesn't need this sort of crap. If Hannah wants to sell ebooks, then there's better ways to do it than tagging your alleged attacker on your breasts.
So now the photo he helped her put up is also about selling ebooks. And then he shows this email, and we know this email is from Tanner because he also showed it on his Tumblr, as we can see here. And also notice the question. This is obviously him again talking to himself, claiming to be an insider that can confirm that Hannah and Jason Piscino had a casual thing going on during the time. But as I proved in the Destroying the Crazy video, there's no way they could have a thing going on during the time because they were across the world from each other. So there's some inconsistencies with this email. Tanner said that this joke was made the day after, but Harley just said that the joke was made the night of the incident. So that doesn't really add up. And also, Michelle is not the kind of person that would make that kind of joke, according to Hannah. Tanner also says, by the way, nothing ended up happening between Hannah and I. Like there was something going on. Like Hannah had no interest in this guy. And despite Tanner saying that nothing ended up happening, in this Tumblr post, Harley claims the exact opposite. It's just weird that he says, by the way, nothing ended up happening between Hannah and I. Where it's like he has told Harley before that he was interested in her or something. But this is news to Hannah. But Tanner didn't just only send an email to Harley, he also made a video about Hannah. So let's go through it.
Now most of the people hating on Harley right now for what happened between them and Hannah don't have the kind of insight that I do on this situation.
So first he's claiming that he has some kind of insight, which he doesn't.
Now, I was in Chiang Mai for a total of about 7 months between late August to mid-March of this year. And in that time, I hung out with them on multiple occasions for often an hour or more.
So he's being vague and saying that he hung out with them on multiple occasions. So it makes it seem like he and Hannah and Harley hung out, which they never did. They may have been in like the same place at the same time, like at the potluck, but they were never hanging out with each other.
And I was actually living in the same apartment building as Hannah was throughout that entire time. Now, it's the Bon Lana Boutique.
So here he's revealing where Hannah lived while she was getting death threats from people. Like this person that says, I hope you die, and the same person sending her a message on Facebook too. Whether it's an actual person or just one of Harley's troll accounts, I don't know. And here you can see one of Hannah's friends informing her that he just revealed their residence. And here you can see Hannah telling her friend that she's actually going to leave Chiang Mai. She just didn't feel safe there anymore and she felt so sick and she got suicidal. And it's just pure coincidence that I happened to work with suicidal people. Like, I was so scared of waking up and finding Hannah dead that I barely slept during the time, and I just completely lost my appetite. I actually lost 15 kilos during this time. Like, she was living in Chiang Mai, she was studying there, and she had to like quit school, had to leave. And if I didn't have this experience, the outcome of this whole situation could have been disastrous.
In a video that Harley recently made about this, he talked about the guy that emailed him with a joke that somebody made that I saw, and that was me. I sent him that email. Don't remember it precisely, but either Hannah was leaving or had just gotten back, and Michelle from Fruit for Jam, I think her channel name is, who was also living in that apartment building, made a joke about Hannah getting a bike pump from Harley. A pump. And funny thing is, it turned out to actually be true.
So we can't remember precisely. As I just said, it's very unlikely that Michelle made this kind of joke, but he's making it out that he learned about the bike pump from this supposed joke. Why doesn't he tell about the fact that he was there when Harley pressured Hannah with the pump in front of him? Why doesn't he tell about that? Or that Hannah was reluctant when he brought up that pump? Like, the mental gymnastics that's going on. That's why it's so dangerous to go up against Harley, because he has these followers with, like, they don't even have critical thought. They just buy into whatever he says.
Anyway, so I was on the ground in Chiang Mai while this was going on, and the days around that period of time and leading up to it.
Many people were in Chiang Mai during that time. That doesn't mean they have any insight to the situation.
They were very flirtatious around each other.
Here he's basically just repeating Harley's lies. It almost seems like he was instructed by Harley to make this video. And as we've seen in part 3 of the Unmasking, we know that Harley instructs his followers to make certain videos about people. Now, this is only a theory, but because he sent this email saying that, by the way, nothing ended up happening between Hannah and I, it seems like he was interested in Hannah and that Hannah like wasn't interested in him. And this is kind of his way of taking revenge on Hannah. Like, these people are insane.
And I had known from another source that told me that Harley and Freely had taken a break in their relationship. So I thought something was gonna go on between the two of them, which it did, of course, as we now know.
As we now know, it didn't. He's just flat out spreading lies.
And even after this time, they were still sitting next to each other in the restaurants, at least in the situation we saw, because it was the day that Harley and Emmy went out to make that video.
First of all, this was before the rape, and Hannah didn't sit next to Harley. Harley sat next to one of Hannah's friends, and witnesses can confirm this. And Tanner wasn't even there, so what would he know?
While Harley and Hannah, they were sitting across from each other on the table, and this was after they had their little interaction.
He just said that they sat next to each other, and now he's saying that they sat across each other. And this was not after their interaction. Tanner wasn't there, as I said. He came afterwards, and he was waiting outside of the restaurant.
And Hannah was laughing. Harley'd say something, I don't know what he's saying, but and Hannah'd be laughing her ass off. That's not the behavior of somebody who's been sexually assaulted or is receiving unwanted advances. Simply not.
This is why I think he's instructed by the narc to make this video, because he's telling a story without even having been there. And as I said, witnesses can confirm this. And this was before the rape. So what if she laughed about the joke? That doesn't prove anything. Watch out, girls. If you laugh about something a guy says and then you get raped afterwards, you wanted it. This is pure victim blaming.
Everybody has this idea of what a dangerous and destructive person looks like and how they behave. And by and large, people are wrong, right? Who saw Bill Cosby coming? Like, everybody thought he was America's dad, he was the greatest guy. No, he's a total predator. But people had a really hard time believing that, because it's like he doesn't act like a predator, he doesn't look like a predator. I mean, he wears those like Bill Cosby sweaters, right? That, you know, predators don't wear like long dark trench coats and hang out in alleyways. If they were that obvious to spot, then none of us would be victims of them, right? Because there's obvious. It's the predators that come off as like wolves in sheep's clothing that are really hard for us to spot.
If you're in my community, you always feel safe.
When is it ever wrong for two consenting adults who have mutual attraction for each other to have sex together?
This literally has nothing to do with the situation. And we have to remember that Harley was in a position that he could destroy Hannah if she spoke up. And he has proven that he's willing to do that when she spoke up. And we have to remember also that Harley claimed that he was this teacher in the community who protected the girls in it.
I'm the school teacher. This Road to 4 Bike Fest in Chiang Mai is my little school group.
A lot of them, it's the same, that, you know, people have their guard go down, especially if a person is the same faith as us, right? So we tend to think, especially if this person's a pastor or a minister or a youth leader, we think, wow, this person is a very solid, good, moral and ethical person. But with narcissists, you know, their actions and their words don't match up. So they could be a minister and then they could be, you know, molesting children.
So there you go. I just wanted to call her out on that shit. It wouldn't be fair for me to stay silent with that insight on this situation. And it's full of shit.
If it was so important for him to speak up against Hannah and tell everyone that she's full of shit, why did he remove the video? He had no insight to the situation, and he's either making things up or just saying what he was instructed to do. And the only reason I know that he removed the video was because I was gonna go back and take a screenshot of the comment section, because he and Harley had this, I don't remember exactly what they said, but it was like this bros before hoes kind of sentiment. This is what these pathetic losers are willing to do to get some attention. And this is just one of many videos like it that was made about Hannah. I'm only going through this one because Harley brought it up in his video. But what all the videos have in common is that pretty much all of them has been silently removed after the unmasking started coming out. So people suddenly don't want to show that they had a part in this. But I've downloaded everything.
And also, why did Hannah deny having sex with me? Why did she deny that? Consensual sex, why did she keep denying that?
Hannah never said anything about it. As I said earlier, she was suicidal and she had to move from Chiang Mai, and like basically her whole life fell apart. So she never commented on this.
Anyone in Chiang Mai can ask her and she will tell you the truth. If you ask her, she will tell you the truth. But for some reason, she's happy to slander me on the internet. Now, I definitely don't hate Hannah. We're very disappointed in her, and I would very appreciate if Hannah could make an apology video to Freely.
There's no direct aggression, there's no direct confrontation. It's passive aggressive reactions. The retaliation is manipulative.
Just notice how passive aggressive he is, claiming that he's not hating Hannah, but he's definitely hating her. And people did ask her while Harley was blackmailing her, so she couldn't even tell them what had really happened, which is what caused her to almost end her life. This is how serious this situation was. This is how much Harley pressured her.
Because odds are they're going to keep pushing you. It's not uncommon. I've worked with so many women that were just on the brink of suicide, and their narcissist just kept pushing them and pushing them. And, you know, it's like it's never enough for them. Like a lot of them really like to destroy your self-esteem. And then of course the whole flying monkeys things starts happening. The wife is probably becoming a flying monkey. Her friends, other people are becoming flying monkeys. It drives people to suicide. And of course the narcissists love that.
There's just something about the person that doesn't really add up.
The stories were endless. The group were clearly delighted to have found others who spoke their language, and the trauma of the incidents it described couldn't be denied.
He was pushing me to kill myself because he would have got such a huge buzz from that.
And you know what? If they can drive you to suicide, that's even better.
This is what Harley tried to do. And he also sent me messages trying to turn me against Hannah. And this is nothing new. He's done this many times before.
He would do anything to like prove his point. So Durianrider was sending Jason some threats on Instagram on if we see you in Thailand, you better watch out. Like, I'm not preaching violence, of course you don't, but my followers are very loyal, and if they see you, like, watch your back, something like that.
They might make thinly veiled threats. So it might be something like, you know, I really hope you get home okay tonight.
There's a whole document actually on the internet if you Google the truth about Durianrider or something like that. But you can see a lot of repeating patterns in what's been said there and things that I have experienced myself and saw from other people.
Psychopaths, sociopaths, narcissists, never going to be normal. Never. Never, 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 never. They do not change. They do not get better. They get worse with age. The narcissist does not view targets, no matter who they are, as people. You've got to get this through your head, guys. They view the targets of abuse, whether that is a child, a pet, a spouse, a friend, whatever. Because remember, there is no there, as an object. That is it. That is it. We are not people to them. We are not real feeling human beings. They cannot relate to us or to animals as sentient beings because they don't have that emotion cog there. There is no there. I cannot say that enough. And that is what makes them dangerous. And so when you are dealing with a sexual predator, they never want you to forget them. It's an ego thing. It's absolutely an ego thing. And it will color your sexual encounters from there on out until you get that handled and dealt with and worked through and put the anger and the shame back onto the abuser. So that's why they do that, is because they want you to never forget them. That's one of the best ways to keep them up here forever. It's evil.
To understand malignant narcissists, you have to understand what is a sociopath, or what is someone with an antisocial personality disorder. Simply, this is a person that has no empathy, who can commit crimes, both white-collar crimes, violence, sexual crimes.
And a little bit of choking, she likes that.
Any type of crime without having remorse or empathy.
They do this as a means to control you from the grave. They do this as a means to continue to have them in your head forever and ever. Amen. And especially with sexuality. Sexuality is hugely important. It is a huge part of our lives. We are human beings. This is part of who we are. This is how we feel. This is how we express love. This is how we express desire. This is how we express ourselves. It's an expression of who we are. And so what better way to never make us ever forget them than to force us into having sex with them. It's messed up, and it happens more often than you would even suspect. And that's what narcissists do, is that they demand absolute obeying to their every whim, their every demand, their every this, their every that.
I'd like to give you an updated test for narcissism. Simply tell the person no. Most of the time they actually expect obedience. They actually expect you to do as you're told.
What they will do is they will use the authoritarian, the authoritative thing, and try to make it so that their word is law. You have to obey them.
Narcissism, it is so varied in its presentation. You can be the devious, hurtful, malignant narcissist that I've talked about in my videos, where you rise to power and you trap people by your power and hurt, murder, rape, pillage because of your narcissistic need to be in power. You can be the covert narcissist who on the outside acts altruistic, kind, loving, and giving, but behind the scenes there are deeper motives to conquer, to take, to steal, and to make everything to deceive others in order to get what you need.
And you'll often hear them talking obsessively about the subject of sympathy, empathy, and compassion. When somebody is stuck on that subject just over and over and over again, constantly complaining that the world is not empathic, compassionate, or sympathetic enough, they'll talk a lot of empathy, but you'll notice they're the least empathic people you can be around. They themselves are cold, dismissive, reaction-seeking, abrasive. You know, if somebody is in pain and they're near them, they're like, I'm not interested in hearing this weakness. 2 seconds later, they're like, why does nobody feel sorry for me? Why am I not receiving any fucking empathy? Which is why they drive a lot of people completely bonkers.
Now let's go through the last video he made about Hannah at this time.
I thought I'd do one more video and then over the drama. It's time to move on with some more inspirational videos. But lastly, we're going to just do a video here talking about, you can just pause the video anytime. This is not a hate video, just sharing My comments and criticisms sharing the evidence, and you, the viewer, can make up your own mind. Am I a sexual predator, or did someone just get angry and say some stuff that was untrue?
So he had emails, Instagram messages, recordings, Skype calls, but he didn't show any of this, and the evidence that he ends up showing is him having threatened Hannah to say she wasn't raped. And the way he got Hannah to make this statement was that he promised that it would stop if she did. It's as Dana says, everything you say can and will be used against you. I guarantee it.
Anything that you say to a narcissist can and will be used against you at some point. I can guarantee it.
And he did. Because Hannah made this several videos earlier. But what he did was he took a screenshot and then he continued to make video after video. So it's clear that he didn't just want to clear his name. He wanted to try to destroy Hannah. And then when he continued to make videos, Hannah obviously removed this comment again because he didn't stop. And then he brings up this comment. And here you can see a message of Hannah sending me a screenshot of what Harley told her. And you can see that Hannah just said she just wanted to stop already. Now let's talk a little bit about false confessions.
Dr. Melissa Rusano is an expert in investigative research, including the process of interrogation and confession.
Confessing is the worst thing to do, right? Like, that's what you need to avoid at all costs.
Yes, when you're not in the situation of being convinced that it's actually your best option.
But that's kind of what I want to do today. I want to see how easy it is to get a false confession from someone. How do I do that?
One way is minimization techniques. You've got to get them to believe that their best option out of this situation to make this end is to confess.
He promised that it would stop.
There are other techniques as well, like maximization. Right?
Okay.
So they have to believe that if they don't confess, things are going to be worse, that the punishment will likely be more severe, and so their best option in the moment is to confess to you.
Now, I'm not going to put that information on the internet yet. I don't feel I have to, but there's a lot more. This is just scratching the surface. So would you like some more proof, and what proof would you like? Give this video a thumbs up if you want to see emails, Skype conversations recorded, screenshots recorded, Instagram messages recorded.
One other technique is befriending them, where you're lulling the suspect into a false sense of security, to trust you.
So as you can see, Harley used every technique he could to get a false confession out of Hannah.
With all these tools in mind, I was ready to try to get a false confession.
You falsely confessed today.
I see that.
How do you feel?
I feel mad at myself because I'm usually the one who, like, you know, just sticks to what, you know, is right, or try to at least.
So what happened today?
It was just scary, I guess, because it's an environment I've never been in before, and then just, like, all the pressure, it was just like, well, I guess I should just sign it and say that I did it.
Despite knowing she was innocent and knowing that she was admitting to breaching a contract, Deja signed a confession.
How easy it is to get someone to confess to something without even punching them or waterboarding them.
It's messed up, actually.
Isn't it?
It's really crazy.
So listen to what the girl said. She said it was an environment she had never been in. It was scary. It was all the pressure. And you have to remember, this situation is nothing like the situation Hannah was in. Hannah's life was being destroyed.
Holy.
All right, Daniel, I will be right back. Do you need anything?
No.
Water? Okay. I'll try and be quick.
Witnessing the interrogation was instructive, but frightening. I was eager to hear from Daniel just why he went from strongly resisting to agreeing to sign a false confession.
So first of all, I want to tell you you're not in any sort of trouble.
Okay.
You're in no trouble, and you were never in any trouble.
Yeah.
In fact, we are studying interrogation and false confession techniques.
Oh shit. Sorry, excuse my French. Scared the hell out of me.
Sorry about that.
Take a seat.
You know, it really freaked me out because I'm like, I didn't do anything wrong. Like, you know, as you probably saw, I was basically ready to walk out. I don't know, the whole thing kind of I started getting really angry, honestly.
I bet.
I could tell at the end.
She's such a nice person. Yeah. You signed a letter saying that you admitted to cheating. I know you didn't. You knew you didn't.
because I felt like she had the upper hand. I kind of just felt like, you know, it's probably my easiest way to get out of here, like a false confession. Like, as I was doing something or admitting to something that I didn't do, you don't really think fully. It's kind of like there's so much anxiety building, and you know, it's kind of like, I don't know what to do. It's just like, I'm gonna do whatever she tells me to do, just because I don't want to like make the situation worse.
And just imagine, we spent, I don't know exactly how long we were in here, but it couldn't have been more than 10 minutes.
Felt like she had the upper hand, easiest way out of the situation, anxiety, didn't want to make it any worse, and she did this in 10 minutes. And Harley went after Hannah for days. But some people could see through what was happening here, like this commenter, Carrie Ford, who said, "You might say that he didn't rape you, but I'll tell you, as a woman involved in similar situations and who has been abused and who studies the psychology of abuse, his use of his position of power, married with his verbal manipulation and physical forcing of issues you've already said no to, are forms of rape, abuse and intimidation. Often, rape victims don't realize they've been raped until later on." As I said earlier in this video, I don't think Hannah fully realized what had happened to her until we went through the situation together. But at this point she did know. It was just that she was like, she felt this was the easiest way out, and that's why she said it. She also had people trying to get into her Facebook at this time, and by people I mean one certain person. Again, this is nothing new.
However, several people have tried to hack my Facebook account, probably to post that type of thing, take a screenshot and then delete it.
I'm pretty sure this was Harley trying to get into Hannah's Facebook so he could post from her account. And he has shown that he's even willing to create fake Facebook accounts to fabricate evidence, as he has done with Freely. Here you can see his Tumblr posting a made-up conversation between the two. Here you can see Freely posting a link to the fake profile. And here you can see the fake profile. It looks like it's Freely's profile, but you can see it only has one friend, Harley. So this is what he's willing to do to make people believe his stories. Actually fabricating fake evidence. The reason I'm showing you this is because it would not surprise me if he did this to Hannah after part 5. As Hannah said, he is willing to do anything to make people believe him. But if we go through the rest of Hannah's message, you can see that she's saying that he's arguing against allegations that have never been made. The video is full of lies, threats, and is completely unjustified. The whole issue began when Harley said publicly that other men's behavior of inviting young women to their place in order to ask them for sex was sexually predatory. He was the one who labeled that behavior as sexually predatory, and knowing what I know, I chose to speak up because that behavior that he labels as sexually predatory is exactly what happened with me. Hannah also wrote, "Since I made that video, I've been messaged by 3 other women who have had similar experiences to me." So if Hannah just made this whole thing up to sell ebooks, that doesn't really make sense. And I'll go through the messages she received later on.
Let's have a look. So I got an email from Freely Banana Girl, just to let you know that I didn't Photoshop it, blah, 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 blah. Again, this is all on Freely's account. If you want to put $100,000 on it that I'm lying, we'll put $100,000 on the table. We'll do a live. You can fly over and we'll show it to you on the laptop from Freely's account. So pause the video anytime if we're going too fast for you. Just pause the video anytime if you're going too fast. And again, don't hate this person, disappointed, but this is definitely not hate. This is just more to clear my name, clear the air, so us in the vegan community can decide who was lying, you know, who was being a bit suspect, and who was actually telling the truth.
As Freely wanted to get involved in the situation, we're gonna get Freely involved later in this video. Now let's go through the messages between Hannah and Freely. First, you can see Freely said she got a strange Tumblr comment. Now, who do you think sent that strange Tumblr comment? As you can see in Hannah's comment, she says this was kept extremely private. And as I said earlier, this situation was all about Harley getting back at Freely. So Hannah tells Freely that something happened, and we know that something happened. And then we can see that Hannah says she's really sorry. Now, why would Hannah say she's really sorry if she got raped?
It's called cognitive dissonance, and we would much rather blame ourselves than to really let in that true information that it is the abuser, because it's too frightening. It's too scary. There's too much cognitive dissonance going on. It causes massive amounts of confusion in the brain because we're connecting the abuser to whatever the original trauma was. It's too scary to confront that because now we have to go back and deal with this.
Remember I said that Hannah was diagnosed with PTSD? I'm gonna get more into that later, and that's when you're really gonna understand how evil Harley is. But now let's just go through this first. Did you notice another thing in Harley's video? Look at this email. Here he's telling Hannah to apologize to Freely. And as you've seen earlier in this video, he has constantly told Hannah to apologize to Freely, apologize to Freely. So the only thing this apology proves is how much power and control Harley had over Hannah. And then Freely asks Hannah to tell her about the whole situation. And then Hannah says she will find it easier to talk to her instead of typing it out. So Hannah and Freely had a Skype call, and it was like Freely had already made up her mind. So the first half of the Skype call, Freely just constantly blamed Hannah and said Hannah took this opportunity to sleep with her man and stuff like that, and Hannah had to constantly defend herself and say no, it wasn't like that and stuff. And after the first half, Freely finally started to see that it wasn't like this, and that's when Freely opened up and told Hannah about the other girls and told her that Harley was very manipulative and stuff like that. Freely also told Hannah didn't mention this in her video, but Freely told Hannah that she had to threaten Harley to call the police on him to get him to listen. Hannah also had 2 friends over during the Skype call that can confirm everything that was said there, and Freely knows this. Now, Harley said he had Skype calls, but there was only one Skype call, and that was the Skype call between Freely and Hannah. And we've called Harley out on this before to show the Skype call, but he wouldn't. So let's call his bluff once again. Here you can see someone asks Harley about the Skype call, and then of course he quickly backtracked and claimed that Freely didn't want him to release it. But in this email between Freely and I, Freely says she never said that. I also asked Freely if she could send the Skype call to us so we could use it as evidence, but conveniently Freely couldn't find the file. And here you can see a conversation between Hannah and one of the friends that was there, just confirming everything I've said. You can pause and read for yourself if you want. And here you can see the dates the messages were sent. Now, why do you think they won't show the Skype call? Harley used the Skype call as evidence, and now it's time to put the evidence forward. But he won't, will he?
So we have an ebook cover. Now, what date is this? I was very happy with the ebook cover. I had no problems with that. There's 28th of October. So this is about a day after, or 2 days afterwards, we had, just about 2 days after we had sex.
No, it wasn't. This was the same day before the rape. Now Harley is confirming Hannah's story. We've showed you the screenshots, we now know the dates. Now we can extract some more information out of Harley's video. If we pull this to the left, then it reveals the time the ebook cover was sent, and the time is 10:03. Now if you look at the file on Hannah's computer, it says 10:02. So when Harley sat down next to Hannah and covered his crotch with a cushion, Hannah downloaded the ebook cover from the online editor she used to make the changes, and then sent it straight to Harley. And it was right after that that the assault began.
Now Hannah is sporting a large hickey on her neck. So I don't remember doing that. She seems to be pretty proud of the fact that she does have a hickey on the neck the day after she came back to my hotel room.
And this video was uploaded 27th, that was the day before the rape. And now suddenly Harley can't remember doing it. He made a big deal out of him making it. Not that that would vindicate him, it's not like a rapist can't make a hickey, so you have to remember he's defending himself against rape allegations, according to himself.
So we see that there's comments there from Jason Squidward that there's a hickey, and Hannah jokingly sort of makes a joke of it.
Yeah, Hannah joked about something that looked like a hickey. A joke like that have never been made before. I believe it's called sarcasm.
That comment has been such deleted, so we went back to the video today. The hickey's still there. The date's still the same, the 27th.
That's right, the 27th, the day before the rape.
People notice that the hickey comment has been deleted. Which hickey comment? This hickey comment. So if you were sexually preyed on Hannah, then why would you make joke of it the next day by putting up a video with a hickey on your neck?
Well, she hadn't been sexually preyed on at that date. This was the day before, as we know. We also know that it wasn't a hickey. I don't even understand what his point is. A hickey doesn't vindicate him, even if it was a hickey. And he also says he doesn't even remember doing it, so what's his point? His point is to publicly humiliate Hannah. That's his point.
Why would you then do me an ebook cover?
The ebook cover was made before the rape.
Why would you then continually email me or send me messages on Instagram?
Yeah, why would she? Look at what he's doing when she stopped playing along with his sick games.
Now let's have, I won't show all the emails or all Instagrams, but let's just have a look at a couple of the emails and We were pretty chummy, we were pretty friendly. This is sort of not the conversations you'd have with someone who's raped you or sexually assaulted you, would you?
Really? You wouldn't play along with someone's sick games if you knew that the person would try to destroy your life if you didn't? And as Harley proves himself, he is willing to try to destroy you if you don't do as he wants. Look at all the videos I made. I showed you the lengths Harley has gone to try to make me fall in line. He has doxed my mom, he has contacted my teenage sister, he's contacted old friends of mine, he's sent death threats, he's threatened me with lawsuits.
And they force you to be what they need you to be. So if I'm the narcissist and I'm talking to you, your personal history, your likes, your needs, your wants, your hopes, your dreams, your vulnerabilities, your emotions, they don't mean anything because you're just a prop on the stage of my play. And if you ever infringe on my awesomeness, then I'm going to come after you and I'm going to punish you. If you infringe on my awesomeness or if you challenge me, that's called narcissistic injury. When I move to punish you and my punishment is disproportionate to your crimes, such as they were, such as they were not, they were never crimes. It is not a crime to challenge another human being for acting like a dickhead. And my rage is disproportionate, my punishment is disproportionate, that's called narcissistic rage.
Harley had gotten himself in a position where he could literally destroy people. And as he has proven himself, he is willing to try to destroy people if they don't do as he wants. That's exactly what he did when Hannah stopped playing along with his sick games. And now he's trying to use this as proof that he forced her to act the way he wanted, to pretend like everything was fine.
I'm going to stop talking now, and you can pause the video anytime.
So he shows a bunch of emails that don't prove anything. Why won't he show the other emails? The ones where Hannah supposedly complimented him about the sex and that she was flirting and sexting him and all this. Why won't he show that? Here you can see that he's telling me that he has these emails. Show them. Here's another email he sent, bringing up emails, audio recordings and personal messages. Show them. It's just talk, talk, talk. His bluff has been called. He even claims that he has a recording of Hannah saying she has boob implants. Now, as I've said before, Hannah has never had any kind of plastic surgery, so this recording is sure gonna be interesting to listen to. Here's another one where he claims he has audio and email proof. And as I proved before, he's willing to make fake accounts to get people to believe his lies. Here's a comment that was left on a re-upload of Hannah's video. And an account that appears to be Hannah say, "I can't believe how stupid I was to make such a video. I'm sorry to all my viewers and supporters whom I've let down." But then you can see Hannah's actual account replying underneath, saying, "The above account you replied to isn't me." If you hover over the name, you can see that this isn't Hannah's real account.
You know, taken out of context and like, well, Durianrider's like a grooming girls, whatever. If you want to say that shit, then show me the receipts.
I think he just gave me permission to show the receipts. Here we go. So here's a message Hannah got the day after her video, saying that she watched Hannah's video and that she's so proud of her. She also said that she wants to talk about her experience with Harley. Now that is one hell of a coincidence. Remember, according to Harley, Hannah was just creating a lie to sell ebooks. So how does this message fit into Harley's story? Also notice how I blurred out the rest of the message. I'll get back to that. First, let's take a look at this message. This is another message that Hannah got the day after her video from another girl. And here you can see that Freely warned her about Harley. Now that's interesting. Also notice how she's mentioning the backlash Hannah will get from this. A lot of people said Hannah would get a backlash from this. And that's why nobody was speaking up against Harley, because they knew that they would get the backlash speaking up against him. This is how he forced people to just stay silent. Here's yet another message from yet another girl, also June 14, the day after Hannah uploaded her video. I don't know about you, but this looks like grooming to me. I also want to point out that all these girls are either teenagers or in their early 20s. Here's another message Hannah received. This is not right after her video, but after I started making the unmasking. Does it look like Harley made his intentions clear here? Now let's get back to the first message I showed, because something very interesting happened. The girl who very clearly said that she wanted to speak about her experience now suddenly claimed that she wanted to speak about Hannah's experience. But then at the same time saying, "Oh, if you're not comfortable, I totally understand," so she doesn't really seem that interested anymore. So what happened there? It's almost like someone threatened her to stay silent. Then Harley commented on one of my Facebook posts telling me that I should message him, which I didn't. Then he sent me a friend request that I didn't accept. Then he sent me a bunch of messages suggesting that we should meet up so he can tell me the whole story. Obviously he didn't think I already knew. Now here comes the interesting part. He says, "I've been in contact with the 3 other girls I had sex with in that time." So here he's actually confirming what Hannah said in her video. Interesting. And then he says, "Only one of them spoke with Hannah, and just out of curiosity." Now how would he he know what this girl spoke to Hannah about in a private message? It's almost like he told her what to tell Hannah and is now repeating it to me. Then he says that he's talking to them regularly, so therefore they weren't abused, but he's also saying that he has screenshots and recordings. I'm sure that will be brought up as soon as they stop talking to him. And here you can see my reply. Does it seem like I have any doubt about the situation? And because Harley has a tendency to accuse others of photoshopping or fabricating evidence, I took a screen recording of this conversation, and you can see when I clicked his name I got to his profile, and here I'm going through his profile so you can see it's his real account. Does this look fake or photoshopped or fabricated to you? It's not easy to make a fake account with all this information. Here I go into his photos, and this is back in 2016 by the way, so you may have to scroll a little bit to get to the same photos, but you can see that this is his real account. But I know that people will mention that, oh, his account isn't even called Durianrider, it's called Harley Johnston. And this is correct, he changed his name from Durianrider to Harley Johnston, so when he did that I made another screen recording. So I search his name and I do the same thing again, go through his profile, his photos, you can see the comments, and when I bring up the messages, here you can see the same messages. This is real. Harley got nothing on this. And when I go to the message, here you have the same thing. Have you seen enough receipts yet? I don't think so. Let's continue. Now when I uploaded part 3 of the unmasking, I got an interesting comment from Lilikoy Hawaii, and she told me about the conversation she had had with Harley via Instagram. So she sent me an email with screenshots of the whole conversation. Now we don't have time to go through the whole conversation, but I want to focus on this screenshot. Here's Harley telling Lily about a girl that was molested by her father. Now let me tell you this, the age difference between Harley and this girl is about the same age difference between me and my dad. So Harley could have been this girl's dad.
That's just me, man. Just me being Daddy Durianrider.
And here he's bragging about sleeping with her and restoring her faith in men.
The magic thinking goes along with the whole sexual abuse as well, because in their mind they've justified it. So magic thinking, they justify what they're doing, and in their mind, if they say it's true, it's true. Which is crazy. So, you know, but in their mind, it's like, well, if I say it, then it's true. Yeah, it's magic thinking. It's totally magic thinking. They absolutely know when they're lying, and they choose to believe their own lies.
Now, do you remember the first message I showed? The girl that wanted to talk with Hannah about her experience, but then suddenly backtracked and said she wanted to only talk about Hannah's experience? When I uploaded Josie's video, she commented on that video. So Hannah contacted her again, as you can see in this message. And what did she say? That she was too scared to speak with Hannah at the time. And look at that, she never said that she would testify against Hannah. Harley caught in yet another lie. And here you can see that Hannah told her that Harley was talking about her with random people. And look at that, she never said that Harley restored her faith in men. Is anyone surprised? Because I wasn't. And here you can see that she's telling Hannah about a nightmare she had about Harley. And then Hannah responds, Harley nightmares are the worst.
Nightmares. Okay, yes, we will get nightmares from the PTSD. So that is our brain trying to process the abuse.
All these things, in my opinion, which are done by an adult female, single, are all above board, natural, normal, healthy, nothing.
Now, does this sound natural, normal, and healthy to you?
Because keep in mind, for a narcissist, sex is not about sex, right? So normal people, sex is a way of bonding. It's a way of kind of strengthening your relationship. It's a way of showing your love and your affection for your partner. Narcissists truly don't give a shit about any of those things, right? So that's not why they have sex. They have sex for power and control, right? And power and control driven sex is the same reasons that drives rape. It's the same reasons that drive incest and other types of sexual assaults.
Now, after I learned about this girl, I said to one of Harley's troll accounts, and by the way, this is how I expose his troll accounts. I said to one of his troll accounts, I know about the girl that was sexually abused by her father. And then moments later, she got this message from Harley. Norvegan is saying, I raped you. No, I didn't. So here once again, Harley is describing it as rape when nobody has said anything about rape. But I'll take Harley's word for it. Now in this message you can see that the girl didn't respond to him. So Harley follows up with this message. Do you think it was ethical of me to record various conversations we had because I suspected someone might lie one day about me? Now this sounds strangely familiar, doesn't it? Why is it that Harley always suspects that something might turn up from the girls he supposedly has had adult consensual sex with? Now she still didn't respond to that message, so what happened was that this Tumblr was suddenly posted. So this is clearly Harley talking to himself again. So in his question to himself he first brings up Hannah and Josie and suggests that they're promiscuous. And then he names the girl that was sexually abused by her father, saying she tested positive and that it was so admirable of her to be transparent and tell the guys about it, saying it was a lot of them. Then saying she should get out of the sex worker industry. Then saying it's a double standard in society, that making herself out to be an easy lay on social media will never serve any woman. But who is it that is making it out that she's an easy lay? That's Harley. That's how he abused his power. Then he makes another Tumblr post, naming her again and claiming that she's spreading all kinds of lies on the net. Remember that this girl hasn't said anything about him publicly. She just stopped replying to his messages. Then he names her again in another Tumblr post. And then he names her again in another Tumblr post, and here he draws in Sam and Dexter because he had a problem with them at the time too. So he gets to draw in Josie, Hannah, Sam, Dexter, this girl. He gets to abuse quite a lot of people at the same time. This is what Harley does if the girls he targets cut contact with him. He forces them to pretend like everything is fine, so he won't do this. So when he shows emails between Hannah and himself and use that as some kind of evidence, that doesn't hold up because of how he operates.
That level of grinding a person down, of just targeting them on many of these different levels, and highly manipulative people rarely just stick with one form of abuse. There's generally multiple forms of abuse. It's just kind of whatever they can do to get that power and control over that person, over that situation. And if they can degrade and humiliate them, that's just all part of getting that person underneath their thumb.
They really just hate women. A lot of narcissists hate women, and you know, they just hate them. So they're either into humiliating them, degrading them, or you know, just absolutely treating them like garbage.
A lot of times they tend to focus on what they know is going to hurt the victim the most. So it's kind of whatever you're sensitive about. If it's your height, your weight, your balding, your hair, your kind of what have you.
He kept harassing me in front of the police as well, just mocking me for absolutely everything. Like he was mocking my face, saying I had a zit that was like really big or whatever, and he wouldn't take me seriously because of that. And he kept saying basically anything that he thought would hurt me the most is what he said. Like he said I was really fat and I would always be single.
So they often verbally degrade and humiliate victims by name calling. They, especially in areas that the victim might be really sensitive about.
Now, did you notice another thing Josie said in her video?
I had some personal, pretty intense problems in my life then.
Narcissists are attracted to vulnerabilities. So if a person's projecting you know, this air of being vulnerable.
They target vulnerable girls.
All they do is very, very simple. They find what you are insecure about, they see those wounds on you, and they stick their grubby little fingers in those wounds.
They're very fucking manipulative, they're fucking predators. So they go after these kids.
They want to know where are your vulnerabilities.
They go after quiet people who won't speak up. Very calculative.
Narcissists are all around the world, and what are they attracted to? Positions of power where they can influence people who are in a vulnerable position.
If you want to know what Harley's guilty of, you can just look at what he accuses others of, and it's pretty disturbing how accurate it is.
Quiet ones, so these guys go to a potluck.
And it tends to be very specific.
And they can quickly work out who's going to be a good target. Who's not going to speak up, things like that.
Narcissists just look for any chink in a person's armor that they can go after.
After a while, you start to read people, you learn, you know, who's a danger, who's a threat, who's an easy target.
Yeah, they're out there, and they're unfortunately in positions of power. But again, because they are so arrogant, they usually implode and they get found out. But unfortunately, like a Harvey Weinstein, eventually they implode because they harm enough people that eventually people can't just go, oh, it's just one or two, which is enabling.
Sexual predator is someone who seeks out someone they know they can exploit. They suss people out like, yep, she's weak, she won't say nothing. I'm going to fucking try and dominate her, intimidate her. That's a sexual predator.
Narcissists, you know, they're driven to feed their ego. Everything they do is about power and control. A lot of them tend to be sadistic, which means they like to inflict pain. And a lot of them are really big into humiliation and degradation.
And this girl comes from a culture where they're sort of quiet and like, you know, don't rock the boat. And this person knew that, and they took advantage of that.
You know, again, the sadism part, the causing pain. This can be physical pain. They could be very physically abusive. Or it can be more of like an emotional pain.
And I've met a lot of seedy, dodgy motherfuckers, but to pretend to be something else they're not, to hustle teenage girls or inexperienced women.
So there's a pretty disturbing pattern with the kind of girls that Harley is targeting. They all have some kind of trauma. As we just saw, Josie was going through something difficult. We have a girl that was abused by her father. We have someone that was bashed by her husband. And remember I told you that Hannah was diagnosed with PTSD. The reason Hannah was diagnosed with PTSD was because she was sexually assaulted as a teenager. And this is something she struggled with through her whole teens. She didn't date anyone, she didn't sleep with anyone. And at 22, she finally told someone about it, and she reported it and went into counseling. And after 8 months of counseling where she didn't work or do anything, she was just dealing with this trauma. After that, one of her ways to start over and start fresh was to move to Thailand. She was actually supposed to move to South Korea, but she got a better job offer in Thailand, so she moved there. Now, how did Harley know about this trauma in Hannah's life? I'll show you how. Now, do you remember that Joe Best situation that Harley created? During that situation, Hannah sent this message to Freely and her mom, telling them that she had experienced sexual abuse in her past. Now, Hannah told them this in confidence, but clearly they didn't keep it private. As Harley proved in the message he sent to Hannah's brother, he knew about this. Now things start to make sense. It wasn't this young female in her early 20s that was interested in this scrawny old man. It was this 40-year-old man that targeted Hannah.
These girls got preyed on by this motherfucking predator. You know, they got targeted. Do you think they miraculously grow confidence and go, hey, I'm going to stand up, I'm going to call the cops and go to court and make this all public? They don't have that right now. And so they're a bit more like, just, I don't want to rock the boat, just be quiet, I'm embarrassed, oh my God, I regret it, I was silly, whatever. You know, and that's why it's easy for sexual predators to get away with it. Because the society won't back women, and women won't back women. Women won't even back themselves. Most women are taught that they're worthless, you're a good girl, you deserve to earn less, you're just weak, you're shit, fuck off. That's what we do, we tell women you're shit. And so when something happens to them, no wonder they stay quiet or don't want to rock the boat. No wonder only 2% on average of sexual predators ever get convicted and prosecuted. Because the law system protects them. They're innocent until proven guilty. That's why they're fucking getting away with it, man. Because these girls are not going to speak up most of the time. And even if they do, they've got to jump through many fucking hoops to get something done. And all it takes is that predator to write to her and say, don't fucking say anything about me. What are you doing? What are you doing? You're trying to ruin my life, etc. And most girls go, oh. And that's why they got preyed on the first time.
And when I say low to no regard for rules and laws, I'm not just talking about the kind of rules and laws that a person would get thrown into jail for. I'm talking also about more of like social contract kind of laws. So questionable ethics, questionable morals, questionable values.
Now, even though Freely knew about this, and Hannah told her in the Skype call that she had said no over and over again, but wasn't listened to, Freely still decided to get involved and sent Harley this private conversation that she knew didn't tell the whole story, so Harley could use it against Hannah. She also sent this Facebook message after Hannah's video. So here's Freely telling Hannah that her video was seriously unnecessary and that it wasn't 100% accurate. Now that's interesting because Freely has confirmed herself everything Hannah said in her video. Freely also told a journalist that Hannah got a world of hate for her lies. So Freely recognized that Hannah got a world of hate, but still she didn't stick up for her.
And the narcissist might be telling them, you know, she threw herself at me or he threw himself at me. And so she might, most likely, is going to tell herself, well, these other women are crazy. They're the problem, right? They just keep throwing themselves at him, that he's not the problem. That these other women are bitter, or they're jealous, or they're jaded, or they're crazy, or.
So denial is deadly. That they don't want to admit or deal with the fact that their partner is a molester. They don't want to admit or deal with the fact that their partner is an abuser, that they've picked wrong. And it's their ego. It's their ego that gets in the way. The ego is the one that stops them from preventing the other person from harming. And they don't want to acknowledge or deal, and so they go into denial.
Now Freely still to this day hold on to the idea that Hannah is a liar, even after she has confirmed the steroids, confirmed the girls, confirmed everything Hannah said in her video. Now after the breakup between Freely and Harley went public, Freely revealed quite a few things. Here you can see Freely telling Harley that you made me scared to speak up with the truth because you promised to make my life hell if I did. This is exactly how he blackmailed Hannah to stay silent. Here Freely says, when he was at my house he was constantly trying to sleep with me and grope me, and it was awful, even trying to film me in my underwear against my will. I told him no many times. Oh, just like Hannah. Now when Freely got a new boyfriend, she said it was so nice to be around someone who respected her boundaries.
It's just really, really nice to be around someone who has just similar life goals, a similar way of doing things, a similar way of just like respecting certain boundaries and stuff like that without going into too much detail.
Now even after saying all of this, Freely still names and identifies victims of Harley's abuse. Here she identifies the person who was bashed by her husband, saying she was coerced into bed. She also names the 18-year-old virgin that Harley targeted.
Narcissists seem to be obsessed with virginity. Whoever the narcissist is, whoever the abuser is, who wants to be the first, wants to be the one to have sex with you before anybody else because they are obsessed with virginity. Dog face banana patch. This is one of those ones where I'm just like, this is truly fucked up.
Do you remember when Harley said he would like to see a 17-year-old get banged with a toothbrush?
If you've got a live leak video link, send it to me.
These story
DM me on
times.
Instagram.
And he goes, oh, I'd love to see a live link of that. Send me that. Would you love to see a live link of me, a 17-year-old, getting fucked with a toothbrush? You're not creepy. You're not weird.
And the 17-year-old responded and said that he was a creep.
Her boyfriend suddenly, when something was talking about me getting fucked, got interested because he's creepy. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Freely knew about the 18-year-old virgin that Harley had targeted, and she still made this video to defend him.
But then you have the gall to call my boyfriend a pervert. This is probably one of the worst things you have done, because I have friends who have been molested and it is fucking horrible, okay, what they went through. So for you to just make light of it and for you to just have the gall to involve my boyfriend in such a serious allegation is just disgusting, and it makes me lose all respect for you.
Now all this 17-year-old said was that Harley was a creep, and look how triggered Freely was. Might it be that she knew that Harley was a pervert, that she suddenly brought that up even though it wasn't said? And here Freely is naming Hannah, spreading the lie about the hickey, spreading the lie about the sore pelvis. She even says, so thoughtful of him to share that. But then Freely share it with an even bigger audience. So thoughtful of Freely to share that she knows her lies. Then Freely names the girl that was abused by her father. And look at this Tumblr post that Freely posted December 16, 2015. This is after she knew about everything Harley had done. Still, she's saying, believe it or not, the man's got a huge heart. And she dares to tell Hannah that her video was inaccurate and should be removed. And Freely's mother is no better. Here's a message she sent Hannah after her initial video. After rereading this, Hannah, I'm so disappointed that you have tried to drag Harley into the mud. I think you owe him and Freely an apology. I can only be left to think you did this for hits on YouTube, and that is really sad. So let's go through the situation. This 60-something woman and her almost 40-year-old daughter are told of a girl's trauma in confidence. They then disclose this information to a rapist, and the rapist used this information to target the girl. He rapes the girl and blackmails her to silence. He then goes on to accuse other men of his own crimes. The girl then makes a video calling him out on his hypocrisy, not saying anything about the rape, just saying that she had experienced some sexually predatory behavior from him. What he described as sexually predatory behavior. The behavior of luring girls half his age to his hotel room in order to ask them for sex. The rapist then makes video after video after video trying to convince everyone of this disgusting slanderous story. The 60-something woman then contacts the girl and tells the girl that she is disappointed in her. The only reason she was targeted in the first place was because she disclosed private information to a rapist. And I know people will say, oh, she didn't know that he was a rapist. But even if she bought into Harley's story, this is a 40-year-old man making video after video about a girl half his age and saying things about sore pelvis and just other disgusting stuff while he's with her almost 40-year-old daughter. On top of that, she makes the extremely insulting statement saying that she thinks the girl made the video just for YouTube hits. She's not telling this to the 40-year-old man that makes video after video after video. No, she tells it to the girl that made one video and then left YouTube. You know the really sad part though? That this 60-something woman cheated on her boyfriend multiple times. What's that? That's not true, you say? Well, if we're first gonna take Harley's words as truth, then it goes both ways. And by the way, why would Freely's mom contact Hannah if Freely and Harley had broken up? It's clear that they were still together at this point. And when they did break up shortly after, they kept it secret to not give Hannah's video any credibility. And then 4 months later, when it came out, they claimed that they had broken up before Hannah's video. It's just another crack in Harley's story. If Hannah was the liar, why would her relationship last while his relationship ended? And Freely was in on this. She helped the narc keep the breakup secret, and she didn't only stay silent and watch Hannah getting destroyed. She actually helped Harley destroy Hannah. And now she's making videos like this.
Because I want to empower you girls.
As I do not support the exploitation and oppression of my fellow sisters.
Why are you projecting on Freely what Durianrider does? Well, let me tell you why. Freely is his biggest supporter. She has been supporting him from day one, and she has helped him get his fame that he has now. Like, he would never be as popular as he is without being Freely's boyfriend, especially with the quality of his videos. Like, he would never rise to fame like he did without being with Freely.
And as someone who has such a big following, and as someone who uses the fact that others have a big following and they should be socially responsible in her message, I kind of feel like she's a bit hypocritical because she has a big platform and a big following.
And so if anyone knows him, I know him, okay? And I like to think of myself as someone who is a good judge of character, who is carved up, who is rational. So when I say someone is a good person, they're a fucking good person. His heart is so fucking huge, and there's channels that will hate on him and shit like that. But at the end of the day, the guy has the heart of someone I have never met in my life. Honestly, the most giving person I've ever met in my life. And I was thinking about something in bed, which I think about quite often, and that's where the people who continue to eat meat and dairy, even though they know the impact of their diet choices on the planet, on the animals, they've watched Earthlings, they know the facts, they've been educated, but they choose to continue eating animal products, whether they actually deserve to continue living.
How about this? What if someone knows the facts, they know their boyfriend is targeting and abusing girls half his age, but they choose to continue to support him? Whether they actually deserve to continue living.
The slaughterhouses still exist. The fur farms still fucking exist. They are still there regardless of you turning a blind eye to them.
And the abuse still continues regardless of you turning a blind eye to it.
And we need to bring attention to it to make a positive change.
I agree, but the only time Freely drew attention to it was when it directly benefited her.
You know, like just looking for excuses. No, you should not have that option. You just gotta step the fuck up, or you really don't deserve to live on this planet. Stop ignoring the facts that are slapping you in the face. That's all you need to do. We need that. We just need people speaking up. That is what we need, most importantly. Just do fucking something. Put some videos out. And, you know, have a purpose greater than your ego. That's all I really have to say.
Now, do Freely have a purpose greater than her ego when she denies Hannah's story but at the same time believes Josie? It's incredibly convenient for her because Hannah's story made her look bad because she knew, but still made all these videos about how Harley was so great and had a big heart and all that. But Josie's story, that was after Freely's time, so that doesn't make her look bad anymore. Incredibly convenient. And on the topic of having a purpose greater than your ego, look what Josie said about Freely. She was so over the top kind to me in June, but never talked to me again after I made the video. I feel like she just wanted to get me to make the vid because she hates the narc. She might have never cared about me that much, I feel. Do you realize how dangerous that is? To encourage a teenage girl to make a video standing up against Harley when she knows the kind of retaliation Harley has for that kind of thing? And then to just completely cut Josie out after her video? And I think Freely has known for a long time. Look at this video posted back in 2014. Their body language speaks volumes.
So have you been cheated on in the past?
Have I?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think my personal relationships really a short share to the planet.
Oh, come on.
In case you're asking. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And how did that make you feel?
Oh, I had mixed emotions.
Listen to the way Freely says it. How would that make you feel? It's something about the way she says it, and also look at how Harley is kind of protecting himself. I think Freely is confronting him about something in front of the camera. And we know that Harley is acting differently on front of camera than off camera, so it's kind of a safer way to confront him.
What's wrong, Harley? What's wrong? Did you just take my glasses off and throw me off the bike?
No,
did he? Oh, maybe he did. Why would I jump off the bike with Harley? I don't want anything to do with him. Huh? Oh, now he's on the camera. Now he's different. Yeah. Now he's different. The different Harley's out.
I think it's time for Freely to step up, and if she doesn't, I hope people hold her accountable for her part in this. She said Hannah got a world of hate for her lies, but at the same time she's basically confirming her story. In this thumbnail post she's talking about how she remembered how Harley pinned her to the wall. Does it make sense that he would choke someone too? Here's Freely confirming how cunning he is, saying she cannot believe him and how he twists things, just as he has done with everyone else. And Harley is now saying if he's a rapist, why isn't the police involved and why isn't he arrested? Well, he has already made multiple videos telling us why.
It was 2015, I think it was end of 2015, he sexually assaulted 2 women that I personally knew. And because he's Girls International, not much can really be done.
Why is it so hard for rape victims, sexual assault victims to prosecute their predators, their attackers? Because it's really hard to motherfucking prove it. It's really hard to prove it. Unless it's on camera, unless there's witnesses, but then again, it's their word against mine. It's very, 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 very hard to prosecute assault cases when there's no witnesses. Sexual assault, rape, very, very hard.
Thinking that if you go to the police, they're going to solve all your problems for you. It's not going to happen. It's not NYPD. You know, it's not Bad Boys on TV where the cops kick down the door, arrest a criminal, drag them out. It's not that easy. And most of the time, people just give up, especially when you're dealing with girls.
It's interesting when Harley accuses other men. It's so hard for the girls to get justice for it. But when Harley is accused of it, then it's suddenly, oh, why am I not arrested if I'm a rapist? And it doesn't take very much logic thinking if you see this guy constantly talking about rape and sexual assault and how rapists operate, and he's constantly talking about it. This is not normal. And at the same time he has multiple girls coming forward about him. Is it really so hard to believe that Harley is a rapist? The way he abuses girls publicly, is it so hard to believe he's doing that privately too?
When you report something, you better be prepared for the repercussions.
If a man gets accused of rape, it's a setup. The woman's lying.
That women don't report because of the extreme retaliation.
As bad as it was being raped, what was as bad, if not worse, was to receive professional retaliation.
A lot of times the credibility of the witness was called into account. Had the potential victim, had she made claims like this in the past. There was a lot of witch hunting going on.
I was ordered to advise a victim of her rights for false statement when I knew that she wasn't lying. I was asked to bring her in and advise her of her rights like a criminal and interrogate her for false statement, quote unquote, until I got the truth out of her.
So do you want to file a report?
Even with the rape kit and everything, and my friend catching him raping me, they still don't believe me.
I reported it 2 different times, and he told me that there was nothing he can do about it because I didn't have any proof.
They actually did charge me with adultery. I wasn't married, he was.
But your case is unique in one way. I mean, you were convicted and actually went to jail, which hardly ever happens. So welcome back, Brock. I think you'll find that little has changed, which isn't surprising since after all, you were only in jail for 3 months.
And part of the reason why it is so rampant and why it is happening is because people don't talk about it, because there's too much shame, because there's too much fear, because there's too much shame. So this is why stuff does not get reported. This is why you have to understand this is more rampant than anybody is even aware of. And this is why I am speaking up and out on this topic. It happens. And it is never the fault of the target of abuse, which is why I get so angry when somebody tells their story and they're either not believed or they're poo-pooed or they're told it's their fault. Oh God. So I had someone a few years ago who was molested by their father. And they were like, oh, I shouldn't have worn this. I shouldn't have said this. I shouldn't have gone out looking for his approval. I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done that. And I'm looking at her going, you did nothing wrong. That person chose to abuse. That person chose to molest. That person chose to do harm.
So let me tell you a little bit about how we try to get justice through the legal system. So first of all, we didn't want to do this in Thailand because it's a third world country and we just didn't want to deal with that. So we called the Australian police, but as soon as they heard that it happened in Thailand, they said we have to report it in Thailand. So what we decided to do was to sue Harley for defamation instead, because that we could still do in Australia. So we get the lawsuit started and we wait for Harley to get back to Australia, but he doesn't go back. He hides out in Thailand. So what we decide to do after a while is to just say, screw it, we're just gonna move it to Thailand. We're not gonna let this guy get away with this. So we contact the New Zealand embassy and they recommend a lawyer and we start the whole lawsuit there. And when we start to get the lawsuit running, of course, Harley flees the country. Now that we already were in Thailand, we decided to report the rape too. And this is how incompetent the Thai police were. When we were at the police station, they were like obsessed with this recording that Harley had mentioned several times. So the police actually made Hannah contact her rapist to get him to send the recording to her, but of course he didn't. But without the recording, the police couldn't, like, we could go through with it, but it would be very uncertain outcome. And we also talked to them about how the process were, and it was like Hannah had to tell the whole thing in front of like 5 policemen or something. It was just a mess. And also my visa was running out, so I had to leave Thailand, and Hannah didn't want to do this alone, and it was just a mess. So what we decided to do is to move the lawsuit back to Australia. So we contact the same lawyer first, but she had moved firm, so she couldn't take our case anymore. So we find a lawyer that had dealt with Harley before, and he basically advised us not to sue. As he said, Harley didn't really have much. She had a few bikes and a shitty apartment, and it wasn't really much she could offer us. So the lawsuit would most likely just be a big loss for us. And that's when I decided to create the Unmasking series, because I'm not gonna let Harley get away with this. As you may know, we started a fundraiser, and because people donated, I think they deserve to know what happened with the lawsuits. And if they want, like, we've spent the money, but if they want a refund, I'll be happy to like refund them, because we promised to take him to court, but we couldn't, and I'm a man of my word. So let me just prove that this was real. I'm just gonna go through the emails quickly. You can pause and read them if you want. First, you can see we contacted NetSafe, then we contacted the police. We had already talked with them over the phone, so we were only asking about defamation in the emails. As you can see in this email, we always tried to go with this lawyer that we knew had experience with Harley from before. And here's just the rest of the email from the associate. Here's another email with some more information. Here you can see the lawyer telling us that the fundraiser video we made can be used against us, and that's why we took it down. And here you can see Hannah saying that she put the video on private. And here's more proof that Harley was staying out of the country, saying that we don't have to pay anything until he's back, because they can't do anything until he's back.
So if you want to fucking take me to fucking court, fucking take me to court. And motherfuckers can take me to court, and I'll gladly turn up any court, any motherfucking time.
So if someone wants to sue me or put on bogus charges or whatever, I don't turn up a lawyer. I turn up with my truth.
No, he won't. He won't turn up at all. He's all bark and no bite. It's weird because he makes some videos where he's all like, I'd gladly turn up, but in other videos again, he's saying that he's gonna make every lawsuit so expensive, and he's just gonna tell the lawyers that he lost the papers and stuff. So he's saying two opposite things at the same time.
I will make that lawyer's life so good, because I'll be able to extract as much money as possible just by saying, hey look, can you please send me the paperwork again? I lost it. I know you sent those big files all the way to Australia and it cost you thousands of dollars, but I lost it. Could you send them again? And the lawyers go, yeah, no worries, because the lawyers want to make more money. And so that's what I've done before with situations like that. And it just racks up massive bills for anyone who wants to fucking go head to head with Durianrider.
It's kind of like how he said that the lawsuit was fake, but also complaining about our lawsuit.
I've got a gold digger from New Zealand right now trying to get money out of me. Just a fucking gold digger, scheming, slimy scumbag.
Someone sends me a link, they're like, they're fucking asking for $15,000 US to take Durianrider to fucking court because of something Durianrider said to defend his name against allegations of fucking craziness.
But the most ridiculous thing is that while he is avoiding our lawsuit, he's claiming that we're running away from his lawsuit. Projection much? Here you can see the lawyer telling us that his publications do contain defamatory statements. Here's an email from the New Zealand embassy after we have talked to them on the phone. Here's their recommendation for a Thai lawyer. Here's some advice on filing sexual assault charges. And here's emails between Hannah and the Thai lawyer. Here's some more emails. I think it's clear that this is real now. Here you can see we had to go to Bangkok to meet with the lawyer and the police. So it's not just the lawsuit itself that cost money. We have to like travel and we have to live in a hotel and go back and forth from the law office, and so the expenses added up and we spent a lot more than the $500 we got from the fundraiser. Yet the vegan YouTube community accused us of scamming. Another email about how we're going to Bangkok, emails about meeting with the embassy, a follow-up after the meeting. And here's some footage of Hannah's lawyers and Hannah talking to the police. I think it's pretty clear that this is real. The fact that we have to prove this at all, I think that says everything you need to know about the vegan YouTube community. And here you can actually see that Harley's messages are printed out. And this is where I got Hannah to ask Harley to send the recordings that he has used as blackmail. But of course he didn't do that. Here you can see we're giving up on pursuing legal actions in Thailand. And here's the email where we got back in touch with the lawyer we had in Australia. And as I said, she couldn't take our case anymore because of her new firm. So we contacted the lawyer that we initially wanted to go with again, as you can see here. But as he advised us not to pursue it, we reported him to Acorn and continued with the unmasking. So as you can see, we've done pretty much everything we can to get justice through the legal system. People are just so ignorant to the bureaucratic mess you have to go through when dealing with multiple countries and nationalities. A good example of this is Martine, a Norwegian girl who was raped and murdered in London. Coincidentally, the main suspect left the country the morning after. They tend to do that, don't they? Martine's father has worked full-time for over a decade to get justice for his daughter. Multiple ministers of foreign affairs have been involved, the case has gotten coverage by several mainstream outlets, documentaries have been made, even the people of Yemen, the suspect's home country, have protested. Still, justice has not been served. Hannah and I are not gonna spend 10 years of our lives to try to get justice through the legal system when that would rob us of enjoying our own lives together. And we've now flipped the situation around anyway. If you really believe that we're falsely accusing Harley of rape and that I've somehow fabricated all of this evidence, instead of asking us why we don't report him, ask Harley why he doesn't sue us. This would be serious defamation if it wasn't true. Actions speak louder than words. And again, we've done everything in our power to solve this legally. Do you think it's a coincidence that Harley commits his crimes in Thailand? He even encourages criminals to go there.
You have a criminal record against my name. Come to Thailand, bro. Come to Thailand, you know.
I'm amazed that anyone would think that I would spend 2 years of my life on this if he wasn't a rapist. Not to mention that I would stay with a girl who would lie about this kind of thing. And despite our efforts to solve this behind closed doors, we're also being accused of doing this for social media attention. Who would want social media attention for this kind of thing? The only reason I want my videos to get attention is so people, especially vulnerable young women, can be warned. Remember that Hannah didn't have any warning. Back in 2015, everyone said that Harley was such a great guy. And those who said he wasn't was silenced, just as he has tried to silence me. I've exposed a narcissist and a criminal and cleared my girlfriend's name, and vegan YouTubers are accusing me of wanting social media attention. It's so disgraceful, but that's the vegan YouTube community for you. This is the kind of stupidity you have to deal with when going up against Harley. He has really managed to attract the most gullible enablers you can think of. As Hannah said earlier, she didn't want to share her story, and Harley knows this. That's what he's counting on. And that's exactly why I did the exact opposite of what he was counting on. I gave him several warnings that they would blow this thing wide open if he kept running away from being legally held accountable. Trust me, I didn't want to spend 2 years of my life on this loser. But what choice did I have when he was constantly spreading lies about my girlfriend? Would you let a rapist get away with that? My sense of justice is just too strong for that. Let me repeat once again that he has made over 500 pages worth of slander about both of us. That's the 500 pages I know of. There's probably another 500 pages I don't know about. And a big portion of that was made after Hannah's initial video without any response. But he has not been alone in doing this. Many other vegan YouTubers have participated. Most of them have now silently deleted their part in it. But there are still some people who continue, even in 2018. Just a couple of months ago, yet another parody was made about Hannah's situation. That's the third parody of her. How much harassment and public ridicule are we supposed to tolerate from the vegan YouTube community before we say enough is enough? Hannah left the platform almost 2 years ago and is still being made fun of, just because she stood up against an abuser. The saddest part about this is that this is exactly how Harley has gotten away with his crimes for so long. If Hannah's video had been taken seriously, if people didn't constantly put focus on her instead of the person she spoke up about, what happened to Josie could have been prevented. As you may know, I wanted to finish this video by naming and shaming those who named and shamed Hannah. But as you can see, this video is way too long already, and I'm just thinking, what's the point? Sure, it would give me some vindictive satisfaction, but these people are losers and they're a waste of time. My goal was to expose Harley, which I've done. I've done this at a massive personal sacrifice. It has not gotten me any closer to my dreams or goals. Hannah didn't even want me to do the unmasking. She knew it would only prolong a very painful time, which it has. Of course, it wouldn't only have been about some vindictive satisfaction. I also wanted to show just how bad Hannah was being cyberbullied by vegan YouTubers, because I don't think people really understand how bad it really was until they see it all put together. And don't forget that YouTube allowed this to continue. The vegan YouTube community is the most vile, toxic and disgusting community I've ever come across, so now I'll join the ever-increasing list of people who have left it and don't want to be associated with it. Lastly, I want to thank everyone who has supported us through this battle, especially those of you who supported Hannah after her initial video. I don't think you understand how much that meant to her, and I'd like to encourage everyone who sees this kind of cyberbullying to reach out to the person and give them support. As I said, I don't think you understand how much that means to the person in the situation. I also want to thank everyone who has contacted me about Harley and his wrongdoings, whether it was to share a personal story or to give me a tip about something else related to the Unmasking series. Many of the things I've exposed has been because I've been informed about it. Like the frauds video started out with a tip I got about Harley plagiarizing other people's content. But now that the unmasking is concluded, my part in this is over. The worst thing you can do to a narcissist is to ignore him, and that's what Hannah has done for 2 years now. And it's time for me to join her. I just had to unmask him first. There'll probably be another 500 pages of slander about Hannah and I in the coming years, but that really says more about him than it does about us. The truth is now out there. If people choose to ignore it, that's on them. If anything, I hope that when Harley continues to attack people, instead of wasting their time on defending themselves, that they can just point to the Unmasking series.
I have imagined this moment for so long.